deadlocked on the same aggravated indecent assault charges Cosby faces during its first trial last year. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow down 14 points at the closing bell, but the S&P slightly higher. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. My name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us.
One small step for man.
The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A 7-member CMS team from the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to conduct an unannounced survey of the hospital facilities. GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho telling the Guam Daily Post that he met with the survey team yesterday morning and they advised him they'd be conducting a routine survey. He said the visit was not a for-cause survey and the team was not responding to a complaint. The arrival of the CMS inspection team comes more than 4 months after the Joint Commission recommended a preliminary denial of accreditation for Guam's public hospital following that agency's own survey on January 4th and 5th of this year. The recommended denial is under appeal. GMH has not yet lost its accreditation. Camacho said he's still waiting for an answer from the Joint Commission on the corrective action plan that they submitted. The loss of Joint Commission accreditation would have no impact financially on GMH, but a failing grade on this week's CMS survey could be disastrous because it could lead to the loss of millions of dollars in federal funding that GMH is dependent upon. Dr. Vince Akimoto says that an emergency meeting of the Guam Medical Society is being called for tomorrow evening to consider draft recommendations to rectify the funding shortage at Guam Memorial Hospital. Dr. Akimoto telling the Post that the current CMA inspection underway at GMH is the elephant in the room, but he says he's more concerned about the operational issues at the hospital. Dr. Akimoto said a draft resolution has been drawn up. It's now being circulated to GMH members and others in the island's medical community. The draft calls on the GMA membership to declare that the Guam Memorial Hospital is in a state of emergency, and it recommends, among other things, that $30 million be immediately transferred from the Tourist Attraction Fund to GMH so the hospital can pay for medicines, supplies, and the rectification of Joint Commission safety violations. We'll have more news after this.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The Guam Family Justice Center Alliance invites you to the Children's Carnival Ball on Sunday, April 29 at the Dusitani Resort from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring the whole family for a fun-filled time with entertainment, games, and activities. Proceeds to benefit raising awareness and funding for the development of an official Family Justice Center on Guam. Tickets available at limited 76 Circle K stores. Come down to the Dusitani for the Children's Carnival Ball on April 29 for a magical time and a wonderful cause. Special thanks to Ordot Dental Clinic, SPPC Corp., and the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 6 a.m. The Guam Department of Education just a few weeks away from officially asking the U.S. Department of Education to lift its years-long status as a high-risk recipient of federal education funds. Guam DOE Superintendent John Fernandez made the announcement yesterday after returning from a meeting with federal education officials last week in Washington to discuss their draft request. Fernandez said he's confident that Guam DOE has met the requirements to be removed from the high-risk status. While in Washington last week, Fernandez and Education Board Chairman Mark Sablan met with Jason Botel, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at U.S. DOE, and they also met briefly with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. Doug Domenech, Assistant Interior Secretary for Insular and International Affairs, along with Office of Insular Affairs Director Nick Pula, are on Guam this week for a visit with island leaders. They're slated to meet with Governor Calvo this morning at Adelup. Yesterday, they met with Guam DOE Superintendent John Fernandez, and they also paid a visit to Southern High School. Later, they stopped by Guam Memorial Hospital to talk with Administrator Peter John Camacho, where they spoke briefly with the Guam Daily Post. Domenech told us that they're on Guam to meet with officials and look at projects that they are funding. He said there might be some financial assistance package discussed, but he said that's between them and the governor. Pula said they're on a trip to all the Pacific territories so the assistant secretary can familiarize himself with the region and the issues here. Pula and Domenech arrived from American Samoa over the weekend. They're headed to the CNMI tomorrow. A BMW sedan traveling north on Marine Corps Drive collided with a power pole in Asin last night around 7 p.m. The Guam Fire Department spokesperson Sharika Lu Chargaloff reports the emergency crews responded to a 911 call and were on the scene at 7:07 p.m. A man was transported to Naval Hospital. His condition has not yet been released. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Yeah, let me take a look at the weather map while we're doing this. Partly sunny skies and isolated showers, increasing cloudiness during the day, becoming mostly cloudy this afternoon. Scattered showers after midnight. East winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, decreasing a little bit overnight. Daytime highs 88 degrees and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. I got the map up. Don't understand it. Why? Because it looks so clear out there. What is this developing cloudiness here?
Let's move it up and to the left a little bit.
You
Let's get down to the southeast
think I know what
of
I'm
Guam.
doing here? Okay. Oh,
So go down,
south, down,
to the right.
And to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what are we looking for as I
Well,
go down
we're looking
and
for
to the
this
right?
blob over there to the far right. A little bit more. There we go. See that big blob there? That used to be 92W Invest. Now, that system is no longer suspect for any sort of development, but... Well, you can see it's already there. So the status of the system could change between now and then. I got a lot of vorticity going on in the atmosphere, a lot of convergence, a lot of rain. So it actually is going to ramp up a bit today, then let off tomorrow, and then by the end of the week we're supposed to get more rain.
Okay, but nothing threatening, right? It's just
not
weather.
yet,
It's
not
just rain
yet.
and
But
weather.
you know, we talked about it yesterday. Things can pop up really quickly out there in the western Pacific.
It's that time of year. Mixed bag of weather for us this week as that trade wind disturbance moves through the area today and tonight. Drier weather Wednesday, moisture returning by Thursday, and increasing for the weekend. Be prepped for anything. Sunset tonight at 6:35. The sun came up at 6:03 studio time. Yes, 6:14. That's news and weather together. Brought to you by Bank Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Hafaday, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
For over 40 years, King's Restaurant has been serving up favorites to you and your family. They're going to keep doing it, too. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Don't dump that cooking water down the sink. You can reuse it for other purposes, such as watering your plants or garden. After boiling pasta or steaming veggies, let the water cool and then recycle away.
Catch more clean and green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by Dr. Yang Dental. Call Dr. Yang and the Smile team at 647-8702. They make smiles happen.
And you know what? When you're done boiling that pasta water, you know what? It makes a really, really good shampoo for your hair. Just get pour it right over your head.
Natural oils.
At dinner time here. 6:15 in the morning portions of the program. Also brought to you by Security Title. When you absolutely need confidential or vorticity. That's a word that Mike just taught me a second ago. Vorticity in your real estate transactions, call Security Title.
It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth, from vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's 6:17. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on the Point 93.3. I would be the Ray Gibson. Kevin Kerrigan takes care of all the news and the headlines, and this guy never sleeps. This guy never sleeps. I'm getting pinged by Kevin Kerrigan into the nighttime hours, saying that the GMA is at it again. Well, at least Vince Akimoto is. Because I don't know what it's been a long time since I've had a conversation about the Guam Medical Association.
Well, it's a bit larger than the
Remember,
GMA.
they used to have the GMA and then the GMS.
Right.
And then they'd get together and they'd have like arm wrestling competitions, and whoever won got to be the guys that were able to do the gubernatorial debates. You remember that?
Sure.
I'm fuzzy on the arm wrestling thing. I'm a little fuzzy on the arm wrestling thing, but I remember there were at least two different groups. It's like, you know, when you've got, you see this happening in youth athletics a lot, where you know, you got somebody that they got a soccer league going, and then the parents don't like the people that are running the league, so they strike out on their own. And so I remember there was something like that a few years ago. But it is interesting now that it has come back up, and I can go through the whereases and the heretofores of a resolution that has crossed our desks here at the radio station. But frankly, that's the boring stuff. It's the be it therefore resolved stuff that is interesting. And among the things that they're looking for is an immediate infusion, like that name, of cash for Guam Memorial Hospital. You remember, it wasn't that long ago, they were looking for, what, $25 million? And now it's 30, but GMA says, let's make it 40. There's $30 million that they want from the Tourist Attraction Fund, because the tourism industry is healthy. Just FYI, I mean, it's not delicate at all. We Koreans coming in literally by the plane load. Yeah. So we could probably live without that over at the Guam Visitors Bureau. Nate's biting through a pencil right now as I'm talking about this. Milton Morinaga is looking for something to bite through as well, going, what do you mean you want my $30 million? What?
I think some of those funds are committed to other things,
other projects. Well, and the GMA is not the budgeting body here. They're not the ones that get to make that decision. Also want $10 million from GITA. I guess there's all these headlines about some qualifying certificate abatement money that and deal money that's in there that hasn't quite been spent, and they want to get it at GMH before Jay Rojas can buy airplane tickets with it. Apparently, that's what they're looking for there. I'll read it to you a little bit later on.
I'm sure they'll put a notwithstanding or something in there to make that all better.
Sure, why not? It should be at the top of your head this morning. That is not to say that there are not issues at Guam Memorial Hospital and the pop-up visit apparently by the CMS. See, it's that time of year. They should have seen this coming. Everybody should have seen this coming. The guy from the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Interior, you think he really wants to go down to Saipan? Think he really wanted to come here? It's cold in D.C. We got to get out of here. It's cold. Trump's making a mess of things with everybody with the drain the swamp thing, and everybody says, let's you know what? Let's go as far away as possible and still be in the United States. Where is that? And they said, oh, it's Guam. Okay, let's go there. Let's go there. And so it's the same thing with the guys from the CMS. They get to a point where they're going, it's cold here.
Right, too much winter. Let's get out.
Let's go someplace. You know, I've got a nice island print shirt. I got some shorts that I haven't worn since summertime. Is there a possibility we'll just go and we'll shake some hands?
So that explains
it all.
Then, right?
Well, it's I like to make things simple, Kevin. I don't know why things have to be so complex, so complicated. It is what it is, and they are out there on just kind of a routine checkup. They're going to find something. You don't travel 6,000 miles and not find something. And if all they need to do, if all they want to do in order to justify the trip is just go and go find Dennis Rodriguez and get a copy of the Joint Commission report. Because I got a feeling that many of the findings that the Joint Commission made when they were here back in, February?
No, January.
January,
okay. 4th and 5th was the inspection that led to the threat of non-accreditation.
So did we take care of some of these things over at Guam Memorial Hospital? Just the high-risk drivers, environmental care, security cameras for general areas and for the infant care area were inoperable, therefore providing inadequate monitoring. The soiled surgical instrument cleaning room had an improper air pressure relationship to the adjacent spaces. You don't want it to be air positive in that room. You want it to be negative so that the whatever the bugs are, the germs are that are on these soiled surgical instruments don't blow underneath the threshold of the door and out into the other rooms.
Yeah, same principle with asbestos abatement.
Staff unable to identify where the malignant hyperthermia supplies and medication were stored. Do you suppose that somebody put up a sign, went to the print master on the computer and said, let's make a sign, said, malignant hyperthermia supplies are here? Is it... I was wondering where those were. I go to GMH quite often, and I say, where do I suppose some of that stuff was? So there's a whole lot of other materials that the Joint Commission found, and as has been pointed out by Kevin Kerrigan as he's reviewed this story in just a few minutes ago, and we will again in headlines in about 8 minutes, is here's the deal. A Joint Commission can get mad at us. And frankly, I'm under the impression that if all of a sudden we were to lose the accreditation by the Joint Commission, we could actually save money at GMH. Because none of that is free, right? It's not like it's a free gift subscription if you line up with the right pharmaceutical companies. But the CMS, you got problems with that, and that becomes a huge issue in terms of income and revenue. They say I don't know what the number is over at GMH, but we'll find out. We'll find out. And as I'm going through this, some of the other stunners from the Joint Commission, and on the last page of this, not the last page, second to the last page. The door to the pharmacy did not completely close, and as a result, the pharmacy was not secure. You'd think that some place behind a door where they keep drugs would be, you'd want it to be able to close and latch properly.
I would think so.
You would think.
But I'm sure they've been working on all of those problems.
With what money? with what money? Because you remember, if I remember the timeline, so they came out and said, we got money problems, and then BJ and Dennis Rodriguez said, we want to see the Joint Commission report. They looked at the Joint Commission report, said, this is all stuff that you should be able to handle operationally, right?
Right. You don't need money to correct the management issues, and that's what the senators pointed out was most of what's in there.
Exactly. And then Dennis Rodriguez called for an investigation, and he had that resolution. He authored the resolution, but didn't get enough votes to actually see it moving forward. And then when that happened, just as it looked like there might be a little bit of a move, a window towards resolving some of these issues with whatever monies they might be able to find somewhere, then all of a sudden the governor started spouting off about the tax cuts, the tax
financial
crisis in February, and everybody forgot about Guam Memorial Hospital. And now it looks like there's a serious need for a little bit more paying attention. As Brad points out, lose CMS and you don't get Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement. Lose that, and the private insurance will probably also pull out. And if you get sick, we'll stabilize you. Get you well enough to get on an airplane out to Manila, Honolulu, California, someplace like that, where the bills are going to get covered, and that will be the continuing downward spiral for Guam Memorial Hospital. At least that's the way the threat looks today. Whether or not it will happen, I don't know. There's always something, but do we have the capability of going out and taking out a $40 million loan to support Guam Memorial Hospital? I don't know. You know, not with the downgrades.
Yeah, well,
from those two agencies.
Some money on the way.
Where?
You have the sales tax. Part of it is dedicated to GMH, but you got to wait until October, or actually November 20th when the first funds come in.
But wait a second, aren't they talking about repealing all of that? At least one guy over at the legislature. So it's going to be, I think it'll be dicey. Yes, Mike?
I think we'll all agree that privatizing the hospital would be the best plan, yet with the mess that hospital is in, I'm not sure there is even a private entity that would step in and try to take it over.
Privatize. The smaller government, yeah, but there just never has seemed to be the political will to begin to have that conversation, it seems to me. But we'll throw it up on the table, but it doesn't take care of the problems now. I mean, how long did it take us? You go back to the early 2000s, there used to be, GTA used to be a public corporation. Right. GTA used to be the Guam Telephone Authority, just like the Guam Power Authority, just like the Guam Waterworks Authority, and we were all thrilled at the idea that we were going to sell that out from under the government of Guam and turn it into a private company, and I think everybody will agree that was probably a pretty good idea at the time. I mean, it did wonders for the telecom business. It was great for competition, and it leveled the playing field among the competitors, because there were guys out here at the time that felt that they could not compete with basically a government of Guam entity, and that changed everything. Like I said, for the competitive landscape, hey, it's good enough for Docomo to have rebuilt the old Ben Franklin, so it can't be all that bad. Is the game room tax, Francisco is asking, is the game room tax helping Guam Memorial Hospital? The answer is, what game room tax? That's a myth, if you ask me. I mean, I know that there's supposed to be some amount of money that comes in, and I can't remember what the number was when we talked with Doris Flores Brooks about what kind of income they were able to derive from that. And
not enough.
Not enough. I didn't think it was worth having to have game rooms in all of the different villages operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You realize, I mean, did somebody go and do a census on the number of equipment that they had? My understanding was that they were only supposed to do it with existing equipment. How did they manage to open up all of these game rooms with the finite amount of equipment that they had available to them 4 or 5 or 6 years ago? Or did somebody exploit another loophole? I don't know. We'll play around with this. Obviously, we'll get some of the movers and the shakers on what the new issue is going to be. Obviously, one of the guys you want to talk to is Dennis Rodriguez. He's still the chairman of health, isn't he, over at the legislature? But since he was trying to conduct an investigation over at GMH, I'm wondering whether he'd be able to have a balanced view on what it is that the GMA is talking about. Obviously, we've lined up an opportunity to talk with Vince Akimoto and others on it. So just Just listen to the program. In the meantime, you're welcome to chime in on your own, 888-8255. That is 888-8255. Love to hear from you on this. Love to have you help me explore what the venues of this conversation are going to be through the course of the day. And obviously, at the end of the day, his name comes up in the paperwork that Vince wrote, whereas the governor of Guam is mandated to provide a safe environment for patient care at GMH, whereas the governor of Guam has declared the island government to be in a state of emergency due to a projected $67 million budgetary shortfall as a result of the recent federal tax policy changes, and whereas the government of Guam is not expected to receive any federal assistance. This is where they start lining up the justification to go and snag $10 million from GITA and $30 million from the Tourist Attraction Fund. You know, sometimes I leave work, I leave the show at 10 o'clock in the morning and go, well, we talked about everything. I wonder what we'll talk about tomorrow. What could it possibly be? What new crisis will develop overnight? And just like that, pow.
Seems like we've been here before.
Lots and lots of times, plenty and plenty of times. So this is terrible. You know what the worst part is? Legislature is actually in session right now. The legislature is actually in session right now, and the governor could call. He could drive down in the hearse and could call another emergency session and have these guys deal with it. And it's an election year, and at least 8 people want a job again in the 35th Guam legislature. You think this might be right for some political hijinks?
I don't think the governor will.
You don't think so?
No.
You think he'd stay out of that?
Well, this is just a proposed referendum that has to undergo some review, and I don't think the governor is going to get involved in.
All right. Well, it's still the idea that the CMS
although
guys
he may
are here.
comment on it.
Yeah, the CMS guys are here, that's
something.
That's something. Whether or not GMA comments on it, whether or not GMA has put together a really, really interesting resolution here, CMS is here, and we should all be very wary of their findings based on the findings that the Joint Commission gave us just a little bit ago. We'll get around to headlines. Can we do the headlines now? I thought I had more time to rant. Sorry. 6:31 in the morning, and coming up, we got headlines, and then we'll take a quick look at traffic. I would, for me, avoid Route 10A headed towards the airport, and I'll explain why here in just a couple of minutes. Right now, headlines from the Guam Daily Post and Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 32 minutes past 6 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, a DOC inmate found with drugs and other contraband while in prison was sentenced in district court yesterday by Judge John Coganor, who ordered Ron Molano Taitno to spend another 18 months in prison, consecutive with the time he's already serving. Assistant U.S. Attorney Belinda Alcantara asked for the maximum sentence of 30 months. However, Taitno's attorney, Vince Areola, said his client admitted to the charges and took full responsibility for his actions. He asked for the minimum sentence. Taitno was originally convicted and sentenced back in 2011 for bank fraud and possession of stolen U.S. mail. Guam police have arrested a man and a woman for their alleged involvement in a string of vehicle burglaries last Saturday in Tumon-Tamuning and Pidi. 28-year-old Ralph Hutton and 21-year-old Carol Otobed were arrested on drug allegations as well. Police stopped the couple's vehicle, which matched the description of a vehicle seen in 4 of the vehicle burglaries. According to the magistrate's report, inside the couple's car, officers recovered some of the items that had been stolen from the vehicles that had been broken into over the weekend. They also found screwdrivers, pliers, wire cutters, and suspected marijuana and methamphetamine. Also inside the car was the couple's 10-year-old minor. A Umatic man claims he decided to connect power to his family's home on the day he was supposed to self-surrender and report to prison. Lloyd Uggan appeared in district court yesterday for a sentencing hearing for failing to turn himself in. Uggan admitted to being a felon in possession of firearms and ammunition in April of 2017 and was ordered to an 18-month sentence. He failed to self-surrender. He faced additional criminal charges and more jail time. The U.S. Attorney's Office recommended a sentence of 12 months behind bars, but the court imposed a sentence of only 6 months. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Studio time, iConnect time is 6:34. Connect longer for less with iConnect's incredible push-to-talk and mobile plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Never too early to start thinking about lunch. Never too early to start thinking about snacks. Have you done something incredible? Have you become the teacher of the year? Was that you? And another major award that has been announced. And where do you take people that win awards like that? Cold Stone, let's get them some ice cream. New strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. Mix them with your favorite fruits, nuts, candies, or even the golden Oreo cookies. You know, in some parts of the Pacific, Yap in particular, they use stone money for currency. And as you might imagine, they're not making a whole lot of new stone money, but they're starting to use golden Oreo cookies. They're that good, they're that rare. Cold Stone Creamery at the Guam Premier Outlets in the Micronesia Mall.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
It's traffic time, 6:35 in the morning, and I'm looking at the traffic gizmo. It's amazing how the traffic all manages at this time of day to be concentrated within about the same 2.5 mile area. Route Marine Corps Drive. Down south towards the intersection of 1 and 3. And remind me, I got to tell you about something that they're going to be doing at that intersection starting at 9 o'clock this morning through Friday. That's ahead. So watch out for that. Route 27, that's the one that will take you towards the Dededo Sports Complex. More cars than usual there now. And there is a line of traffic in front of the Guam International Airport. And I told you I was going to warn you about this. If you can avoid it, I'd avoid it. Today, they must have had a power glitch or something, because the traffic signalization at the intersection at the north end of the airport road area, not Ocean Vista, but at the one where they've got the big sign, you know, and it comes out of the departures area. Anyway, that light is in perpetual green for the people that are coming out of the airport. So what I'm looking at is the same line of traffic that I was in. I was able to listen to the entire I Know It's Only Rock and Roll, But I Like It by the Rolling Stones while I was waiting for their light to turn red so that my light could turn green and I could continue down that roadway towards the Home Depot and eventually to work this morning. It's like that, so be prepared, anticipate the wait, and you know, if you're listening to the boss, call up Daryl, and maybe Daryl can play a song for you while you're stuck waiting for that light to turn green. That's a look at traffic here on The Point.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop. I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good. The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. Turn it up. Now tell a friend.
22 minutes away from 7 o'clock in the morning. 888-8255. 888-TALK is the way to get a hold of me. The other way is to find me on the internet. I'm probably the easiest guy on Guam to find. Somebody asked me that the other day. Said, I need to send you something. And they said, how do you do that? I said, look, I'm the easiest guy in the world. I'm all over Facebook. I'm all over Twitter. And in the absolute worst case, the slowest way to get something to me, but just put my name on an envelope, right? Ray Gibson and The Point, and put a stamp on it. The guys at the post office know where to find me. If you like, put my bank name on it, William Gibson, The Point, and the guys over at the post office will know where to find me. I think the guys over at the court will know how to find me as well. Just kind of curious about that. 20 away from the top of the hour, and as I said, lots of different ways to get a hold of me. RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. That's one of the ways to do it. If you've got one of my old email addresses, that probably works as well. But Facebook Live right now is easily the best way to do it. That's how Michael Ebbio, if he wants to, can talk to me. And I see Ken Williams and Roger Martinez. Is that the chiropractor? Martinez? I got a thing in the back. I need you guys. I need you to crack it. I need you to do that thing where it feels like you're going to do a Bruce Lee move on my head, but you stop just short. And then you get that crack. You feel the crack in your neck. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had that adjustment?
No, I never want to.
Oh, it's great. No, that's my favorite part. That's worth the whole trip to the chiropractor, because they'll do all of the other stuff. Bend you around and you feel a couple of bumps and moves. But when they do that one procedure on your neck, you go. It feels like. Whatever tension was there disappears. Yeah, actually, I swear to God, it feels like you're levitating. It feels like your head is just a little bit higher off the ground. And he says, sure can do, right? RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. Send me your current location, and maybe we'll see if we can get that procedure done sometime soon. Deanna Paul, I told you what it is, and if he's watching Facebook Live, he knows what it is now. The problem is that on Facebook, on the way that I designed the studio, I have Kevin on one side, I have Mike on the other, and in order to I can't look at them both simultaneously, but I need to see them both all the time, so my head is doing this constantly. It's like being in a tennis match. Yes, it's magical, Kevin. That's what he's saying. You should. All right, I'm not suggesting we go together, but maybe at some point we'll check this. You check the procedure out. It's fun. Deanna's there, and you need to talk about real estate. She's good to talk to. I see Bob Lizama, Tommy Barcinas, Doris Mendiola, Lynn and Vince Borja Polino, Francisco Frank Blas Jr. He's the one that asked about the game room tax helping GMH. I was looking in my notes while Kevin was doing the news and I was prepping for traffic. I was looking through my notes because I spoke with Doris on this subject not that long ago, mostly about, and it wasn't having to do with being able to set up the dream come true for Guam Memorial Hospital into perpetuity, as much as it was the leakiness of our Department of Revenue and Taxation. That's has been a problem, and we've it's been acknowledged. We had the thing with the cigarette sticker bill that we're not getting any additional revenue from, except the money from some guys. There was a recent story about an influx in new revenue from that in anticipation of this cigarette tax going into place. So
the cigarette tax is already there, but it's the stamp.
The stamp,
on
right? So we don't have that mechanism, that procedure in place. But there are companies that might not have been reporting. I don't want to say accurately before. They're more accurate now. Is that what it is? Or
there's no way to prove that the tax has been paid if the stamp is not there.
Right.
Once the stamp is there, that proves that the tax has been paid.
But as I said, the story was that there was another increase. There was increases in the taxes.
When the law was passed, it takes a while for it to go into effect. It's not going into effect until October 1. But in anticipation of that, some people who may not have been paying that tax suddenly are, so that no questions are asked when they actually go to Revenue Tax and pay for those stamps that they can put on their cigarettes.
And remember the conversations with Mary Rhodes about the B&Bs.
Yeah.
$24 million in revenue. What is it? $2.5 million worth of taxes that have not been collected. And as we talk about what's going on over at the legislature today, they are in
in session, boys and girls. There's Bill 258-34. I don't know if they talked about it yesterday. It would allow for the immediate taxation of short-term vacation rental units, quote, without the need for further rules and regulations. Why does that scare me? Why does that scare me? I don't know. Does it get these guys off the hook? I get it, but I don't know. It seems to me without another look at rules and regulations, there may be some peculiarities in this industry that might be cause to expose the government of Guam to litigation or at least ridicule. Although a law imposing a 10% tax on these so-called bed and breakfast businesses took effect in January of 2016, no tax revenues have been collected because the Department of Rev and Tax has not yet created the rules and regulations to govern collection of the tax. Now, my understanding is that once this passes, the Rev and Tax has everything they need to start going out there and collecting that dough. But when it comes to gambling revenue, when it comes to somebody at the Department of Revenue and Taxation at these sites where there is gambling going on, there is nobody there to verify the money in, verify that the taxes have been paid on any of the winnings. And I thought for a long time that they had been doing that at all these cockfights. Come to find out, after reading up on some of the quotes coming out of a public hearing or an oversight that they had at the legislature, they have not.
You think some people aren't paying?
There's a lot of money. Well, no, I'm sure it's in an IOU somewhere, but I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that get trade hands at some of these big derbies, at some of these big rallies, and there's nobody from Rev and Tax to go and get it. You know why? You know why?
No.
Because they take place at night. Because these things are going on most of the time at night in some place. So what's the working hours at Rev Tax?
8 to 5,
yeah. 9 to 6, something like that. And there's the same problem years ago when they had issues with compliance with the ABC. And the guy said, well, you know, we know that there are these bars where they're letting in minors. We know that there are these bars where they've got heavy pours or the pours aren't good enough. And somebody needs to go in there and look at it. And they said, well, we've got guys. Well, what do? Well, they come to work every day. But the bars are open at night. And they said, well, there's overtime, and there's this, and there's that. And
you need to put some people on the night shift.
Well, what eventually happened on that, and you might recall that this was an interesting road to go. The actual board went out and started closing down bars. They were the actual alcohol and beverage control board. They went out and started shutting down bars. And then somebody, I'm pretty sure it was Randy Cunliffe, because that guy is a brilliant lawyer. I think he was representing one of the guys and said, you know, the ABC board itself does not have the power to shut anything down. Their compliance guys do. And then that it just went away. It stopped getting discussed. It's a crazy kind of thing. It's life on Guam. That's what that is. I was talking about some of the other folks and some of the other stories that we're talking about here online. And there's Zita, who's listening off island. Carlos, who is listening off island. Greg Massey, who is here. We talked to him yesterday. Timmy Lujan, Ken Leon Guerrero. Good to see you there. Andre Bainham is always fun to talk to, and if you hold your nose right, Andre, like I said, guys over at the legislature might see it clear to being able to provide GDOE with the authority that they need to conduct the procurement so that we can finally get something done with John F. Kennedy High School. I see you, Sue signed on, and there's Brad, and there's JT. JT asking the question, why should they? And that is the question response to the question that I asked, should George Washington High School change their name? There was a recent editorial I saw, and it was a guy, and he wasn't trying to do one of these white privilege things that George Washington owned slaves or any of that stuff. He just was questioning the idea that on Guam there was tribute paid to the first president of the United States, George Washington, and by way of the school. And his simple question was, why? Why would we do that? Just he was the first president of the United States of America. Guam wasn't a part of the United States of America then.
JFK High.
John F. Kennedy, we were a part of the United States when JFK died, and who didn't love JFK? I mean, the Republicans loved JFK when he was assassinated. So that was, and I'm sure in the politically reactive environment that we live in now, I'm sure it was politically reactive then as well, and maybe guys over at the legislature, the Guam Congress, probably knee-jerk reacting, saying we have to name something after Kennedy. Fast, we got to do something. What do we got here? Tumon High. Let's rename Tumon High. Let's rename that John F. Kennedy High School. Let's go.
Well, remember how many institutions, well, maybe you don't, but back in the early 60s, so many institutions changed their name to JFK. Remember Cape Canaveral was named?
Was it?
Yeah, it was named John F. It was named after JFK. Then they reverted after
Back
some years
to Cape
yeah.
Canaveral. No,
Yeah,
that
but
part I
many
don't
institutions and schools changed their name to JFK High or JFK Hospital.
And I think it was the same
as a
thing
result
here.
of the assassination,
Yeah.
following the assassination.
Yeah, so we've got all of those things that we can play around in our head, but and you could argue perhaps successfully that John F. Kennedy did in fact have an impact on Guam. If it wasn't for John F. Kennedy lifting the I forget what the name of the rules were back in the early '60s, there would be virtually no tourism here. That was Kennedy that did all of that.
Opened
So
the island.
yeah, so that there is a good reason to have tribute to John F. Kennedy, right? And in Tumon, where it makes sense. Okay, George Washington didn't do jack for tourism on Guam. George Washington is the reason. Yeah, we'll make this argument. George Washington is the reason why we have to pay our own EITC. You want to do that? Did George Washington even know at the time about the existence of Guam? And I think it's an interesting conversation. And so begging the question, asking the question about the rationality of continuing to have a high school named after George Washington High School. If you want to say that because Guam is a territory of the United States of America and that George Washington was the first president of the United States of America, then that's fine. But if you want to, I think you want to take the conversation from there a little bit more, then we can. Of course, if we decided that we were going to change the name of George Washington High School, there in and of itself is another opportunity. What would we change it to? I'm with you guys. I just don't want the government dealing with this question. All right, I don't want the government dealing with this question because otherwise we'll come up with something that makes absolutely no sense to anybody. Except the 15 people that find themselves over at the legislature. 10 away from the top of the hour. Getting back to the story on the CMS, I'm sorry, and their visit to Guam Memorial Hospital. As I said, if for no other reason, because we know about the deficiencies that have been pointed out by the Joint Commission, it is spooky. It is also spooky because I don't think that the Guam Memorial Hospital, the George Washington Guam Memorial Hospital, the John F. Kennedy Guam Memorial Hospital, who do we name that after? Let's name it after my Auntie Annie. What do you say? So I don't know that they've gotten any of the money that they were asking for, or any of the assistance that they were looking for.
Not yet.
When it comes to moving through with resolving some of those problems. So there could actually be some serious findings from the CMS when they get through. And so the GMA, kind of a association of doctors, says what we need to do is an immediate declaration of an emergency there and an immediate infusion of cash from a couple of sources that they have identified that they believe have the money. $30 million in the Tourist Attraction Fund. Where that figure comes from, I don't know. I don't know if there's $30 million available in the Tourist Attraction Fund. I haven't seen the balance on that. Haven't looked. And does Jay Rojas have $10 million from over at GITA to be able to supply to them? And even if they did, do they want to? Can they? Should they? As I said, the only thing that concerns me is the legislature is in session and we are reactive in nature, and it is possible that you get enough white coats from the GMA in front of the body over at the legislature and they want to be there tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. It is possible that there could be an immediate and incredible reaction to it. Brad says, oh dear, just what Guam needs, a group of doctors telling the government how to spend the people's money to satisfy their needs. Same nonsense Superintendent Fernandez did with the tax proposals. You remember that he wanted some money as well. It wasn't that long ago when we were talking about that. Of course, all the conversations go off in the other directions. 888-8255 is a telephone number. What do we got here? JFK issued the Naval Security. Thanks, Jeff. I knew somebody would know the name of it. JFK issued the Naval Security Clearance on Guam, which opened the territory to tourism. Therefore, that's why we can pay tribute and homage. Auntie Narissa Underwood is on, and she is listening to the conversation. Change to Escuelan Taquilo. Ooh, interesting. What does the taquilo mean again? I know as tequila, but I don't know as... Oh, it's taquilu, Gibson. Learn how to speak Chamorro. Squelin taquilu. Okay, so let me know what that definition refers to, and maybe we'll throw that around in some of the other places. I mentioned Jay Rojas. I mentioned the scenery over at the Guam Economic Development Authority, and there is something interesting that is going on, medically related. And you'll recall that they have been trying to build the maternity and delivery ward at Guam Memorial Hospital. They've had some issues trying to find funding. They're not being able to put together the deal with the lenders that they've got now, and so they have, I think, reissued, effective today, another RFP to find somebody that will support the $9.2 million that they need to get the new birthing and delivery. Well, I just starting to add up the numbers now here. Wait a second. So GMA wants $30 million from GVB and $10 million from GITA, and GITA now is looking to find an additional about $10 million to support all of this construction and the maternity ward and the delivery center over at Guam Memorial Hospital. It is an interesting day. Who needs the most money of them all? I would have to say at this time it looks like Guam Memorial Hospital is in first place on that one. But there are a couple of other very interesting. See, there it is. I learned so much from you. Lady D writes in this morning, there's a whole bunch of newer cockfights popping up all around as to whether they're paying taxes or not. Figure it out. My guess is not. I know that they were looking to issue another couple of licenses, but it's the point of issuing the licenses is to allow for more gambling. Then we need to line ourselves up with an opportunity to catch that gambling. So maybe that's the deal, is wherever we do these cockfights, got to be during the day, got to be working hours, so that we can send the compliance guys down there.
I remember
so
there's
that
a federal ban hanging over us, too, over cockfighting.
I think it is on the, and Lady D would know the answer to this. I believe it is on the importation of the live fowl, of the fighting birds. But I think we've got adequate supplies of the fighting fowl that we need here on Guam. So I don't know that that's going to be that much of an issue here moving forward. There's a few other things that are interesting to me on the table of contents. Port legal fees top $4 million in 5 years. Wow. They got a couple of cases that they're fighting. The Y2K thing, we got to keep that one going. And if it costs us, here's what's going to happen with it. It's going to cost us $16 million to defend ourselves against the $14 million settlement in this thing that we're probably going to end up having to pay anyway. You know, it's at some point, and I don't know when it is. You know, I used to work for a guy, and everybody knows we used to work for a guy, and his thing was litigate. If you've got a law you don't like, if somebody rubs you the wrong way on the regulatory side, you take it to court. And he made a lot of lawyers in this town very, very rich, and enjoyed some very long cases in the courts, long court battles in the courts. But I don't know that he was ever upside down on any of these deals. I don't know that he had ever fought something so hard that he actually spent more money than what the case was originally going to be worth, what the damages in the case were originally going to be worth. So I wonder at which point the guys over at the port are going to say, wow, no mas, just take this as far as we can go. That's going to the Supreme Court, isn't it? Is that one of the cases that we'll see in the Supreme Court? Now, they're going to make a judgment, the final ruling on whether or not YTK is in the right in this claim that they got against the court.
You think it'll be final? How long has it been going on?
Well, I don't know. You know, you get somebody that can watch the oversight over at the port. It's at some point you realize that they're not using their money. This is not Joanne Brown's money. This is not her cash. This is not Mike Phillips's cash. This is our cash. This is taxpayer and port user cash. So at some point, somebody needs to be thinking in terms of what the demands of the ratepayers and the users and the eventual users, people that buy cans of Spam and Budweiser by the case, are going to have to deal with this on. Anyway, 6:58 in the morning. There's a couple of there's this story here. And across from where they keep the National Guard, you know, there's a couple of ball fields there. There's a baseball field and a football field that they use for soccer from time to time, and it's absolutely wonderful. And it was part of what years ago I thought was going to turn into, at least Senator Brant McCready and I used to have these conversations. There's about 43 acres there. And you can use that. They were talking about turning it into like a sports park. Something like the sports facility up in Dededo, just a couple of miles away, but maybe something that had a little bit of, I don't know, extra. You know, there's a gym back there from back when it was the Naval Air Station. It used to be a nice swimming pool up at NAS, and then Johnny Atulai used to use that for making tilapia, and I think they finally bulldozed that into non-existence. But the idea now is to give it to for the mayors, and then let the mayors figure out leases and things like that on that. And
43 acres
43
for
acres,
the mayor of Barragata.
But it's only in the intent. It's not in the actual law. So I think they're going to have to make an adjustment on that. And as much as I like the mayors, can I just say no? Because the mayors had their hands on it for a while when they were trying to do stuff with the carnivals and another night market, and have turned it into a slum. And it's a real eyesore from there. If that's the best they could do under the best of circumstances, you know what? Give it to Gita. Let Jay Rojas handle it. Let them figure out what needs to be done with that property. And if we're going to make a sports park out of it, let them sort that out. That's what they're there for. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, or darn close to it. The radio station is KUSG, Kilo Uniform Sierra Golf. Got you. And we are known here locally as The Point. Fox News Live is coming up next. Kevin Kerrigan with the news, more traffic, and businessy stuff coming up in the next hour of the program. You stay right there.
Live from New York, The Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. And this is a Fox News alert. The suspected Waffle House killer is captured in Tennessee. More on that in a moment. But first, tragedy on the streets of Toronto as a rental van slams into pedestrians.
So many people just shouting, stop the car, but he didn't.
Witnesses say it appeared intentional, and police just moments ago confirming 9 dead, 16 injured. The driver is in custody. The Premier of Ontario Province telling reporters,
I think we are all unsettled and very disturbed by a situation like this. I think it's impossible not to be. It's frightening.
But like police, she's been cautious not to label the attack as terrorism at this point. The van was rented from the Ryder Company, which says it is fully cooperating with investigators. Now to the Nashville suburb, where the man accused of killing 4 people in a mass shooting at a Waffle House yesterday was captured today.
Travis Reinking was arrested in a wooded area not far from where I'm standing right here in Antioch, Tennessee. It was in a wooded area just before an apartment complex near a construction site. A concerned citizen called law enforcement. They went out to the area. Some construction workers started pointing them in the direction of the suspect. The suspect turned around. A detective noticed that it was indeed the man they were looking for. He ordered him to drop to the ground. They say that Reinking complied.
Fox's Jonathan Seri, the 29-year-old suspect, has a history of arrests and erratic behavior, with several guns previously taken away. You can hear more about this on our podcast, the Fox News Rundown, tomorrow morning at foxnewsradio.com. Mixed finish on Wall Street. The Dow down 14 points, NASDAQ down 17, but the S&P up a fraction. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
The first vote on CIA Chief Mike Pompeo to be Secretary of State happens at this hour in a Senate committee. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
Well, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says it's hard to imagine someone more qualified than Mike Pompeo.
His high-quality counsel on sensitive matters has won the confidence not only of our National Clandestine Service, but also of the Commander-in-Chief.
But the Senate Foreign Relations Committee appears short of the votes needed to give Pompeo a favorable recommendation, with Republican Rand Paul joining Democrats signaling no votes. Still, 3 Senate Democrats not on that committee do say they will support Pompeo. That would be enough to confirm the CIA director to the top diplomatic post, with a full Senate vote expected later this week. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. The first state visit hosted by President Trump is underway.
We're very happy and honored to be here with my wife Brigitte at the invitation of President Trump and Melania.
French President Emmanuel Macron arriving in Washington earlier today, one of the key U.S. allies, but the two leaders don't agree on everything, including trade and Iran.
President Macron will try to persuade President Trump to remain in the 2015 Iranian nuclear deal, an accord that the president has threatened to quit. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders could not say if the president is open to any compromise.
I don't have any announcements on that front, but the president has been extremely clear that he thinks it's a bad deal. That certainly has not changed.
President Macron said on Fox News Sunday that it would be better to protect the Iran nuclear deal instead of getting rid of it, as there is no other plan.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. The newest member of Britain's royal family is spending his first night at home. Crowds cheering outside a London hospital as Prince William and wife Kate left with their third child less than 7 hours after he was born. Still no word yet on the name. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to MorricoEquipment.com.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Hey, it's your stomach talking. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Subway has all new signature wraps packed with meat and flavor. And I know flavor. Okay, maybe not as much as the mouth, that's kind of his job, but we talked, and he's a big fan of the Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese signature wrap. And it's super filling, so you don't have to hear from me for a few hours. Unless they play this radio spot again. Subway, make it what you want.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Half a day and good morning Guam News Time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A 7-member team from the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to conduct an unannounced survey of hospital facilities. GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho telling the Guam Daily Post that he met with the survey team yesterday morning. They advised him they'd be conducting a routine survey. He said the visit was not a for-cause survey and the team was not responding to a complaint. The arrival of the CMS survey team comes more than 4 months after the Joint Commission recommended a preliminary denial of accreditation for the hospital. The recommended denial is under appeal, and GMH has not yet lost its accreditation. Camacho said he's still waiting for an answer from the Joint Commission on the corrective action plan he submitted. The loss of Joint Commission accreditation would have no immediate financial impact on GMH, but a failing grade on this week's CMS survey could be disastrous because it could lead to the loss of millions of dollars in federal funding that GMH is dependent upon. Camacho declined to speculate on whether the CMS survey this week is in any way connected to the Joint Commission's findings in January. Meanwhile, Dr. Vince Akimoto says that an emergency meeting of the Guam Medical Society is being called for tomorrow evening to consider a draft resolution recommending funding possibilities to make up for the funding shortage at GMH. Dr. Akimoto telling the Post that the current CMA inspection underway at the hospital is the elephant in the room, but he says he's more concerned about the operational issues at GMH. The doctor says a draft resolution has been drawn up. It's now being circulated amongst the island's medical community. The draft calls on the GMA membership and others to declare that the Guam Memorial Hospital is in a state of emergency. The resolution suggests, among other things, that $30 million be immediately transferred from the Tourist Attraction Fund to GMH to pay for medicines, supplies, and the rectification of the Joint Commission's safety violations found back in January. We'll have more news after this.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The Port of Guam has incurred $4.3 million in legal fees over the past 5 years, according to the latest audit released by the Office of Public Accountability. And while the Port Authority's legal bills have increased, its operating revenue has decreased by 2.5% to $50.9 million in fiscal 2017. That's because of decreased cargo flow. According to the audit, the number of containers processed through the port in fiscal year 2017 fell to just 96,000 from 103,000 the year before. Guam police have arrested a man and a woman for their alleged involvement in a string of vehicle burglaries last Saturday in Tumon, Tamuning, and Pidi. 28-year-old Ralph Hutton and 21-year-old Carol Autobed were also arrested on drug allegations. Police stopped the couple's vehicle, which matched the descriptions of a vehicle seen in 4 of the vehicle burglaries. According to the magistrate's report, inside the couple's car, officers found some of the items that had been stolen over the weekend. They also found screwdrivers, pliers, wire cutters, and suspected marijuana and methamphetamine. Also inside the vehicle was the couple's 10-year-old child. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
I wonder if they'd put the kid in foster care for a little bit. No indication at this time. 7:11 in the morning, partly sunny skies and isolated showers, becoming increasingly more cloudy during the day, becoming mostly cloudy tonight with scattered showers after midnight. East winds up to about 15 miles an hour, decreasing a bit overnight. Daytime highs are expected to be warm, 88 degrees, and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. All right, what does it say about windiness? Is that extra vorticity bringing us more windiness? because I had to run north yesterday, and that was tricky. Mixed bag of weather for us this week as a trade wind disturbance is moving through the area. Sunset tonight about 6:35 for this Green Flash Hunters. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
The Guam Family Justice Center Alliance invites you to the Children's Carnival Ball on Sunday, April 29 at the Dusitani Resort from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring the whole family for a fun-filled time with entertainment, games, and activities. Proceeds to benefit raising awareness and funding for the development of an official family justice center on Guam. Tickets available at limited 76 Circle K stores. Come down to the Dusitani for the Children's Carnival Ball on April 29 for a magical time and a wonderful cause. Special thanks to Oradot Dental Clinic, SPPC Corp., and the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
The Ray Gibson Show brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant's always open, always local.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care, one patient at a time.
The Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
The Coconut Wireless is back. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
I'm making deals. That's what I'm doing. I got my hustle going on. I got. Let me see if I get myself a procedure with Dr. Roger Martinez a little bit later on, and I'm working through this. And anybody that has watched the program since its inception knows that you get to be a certain age, and there just is nothing that can be done with the hair. So a 55, almost 56-year-old guy you're listening to and watching on the Facebook now. And every once in a while, I get the urge to go and see somebody and say, "Do something with my hair," right? Just is there something? Is there a new way that you can cut it? Is there a new way that you can style it? Is it a different kind of shampoo that I can use? Should I buy mousse? And what is mousse actually made from? Because near as I can tell, it's not actually made from mousses, and so. So I wonder about those things. So I'm talking with Shirley from Studio 211 right now, and so we're negotiating when a good time for me to go in there and get that done. And it might even be something as simple as shampoo. Have you tried shampoo in your life at some point? Maybe that's all you need in order to square things around. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing while the news is playing, right? At any rate, let me take a look. It's time for us to see what happened on the markets. I don't have an updated number for you on Tappas Crude. The last thing I got from them was dated 4 days ago, and at that time the number was $74.44. It had prior to that been trading up as high as just a few cents away from $75 a barrel. You can try to find it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to, but the idea here is that we are watching an upward trend. It is now as high as it's been all year. And so we're seeing an upward trend, and if you've got less than a half a tank of gas, I would go to the gas station today and put some gasoline in it while it's still $4.23. It might go higher sometimes. I don't know when it's going to be. I just know that it's something that the guys over at the gas companies are looking at. While I'm in the other commodities, let me take a quick look at what's happening with regular West Texas crude, $68.92. That's up by 50 cents for a barrel of the raw product. Imagine what the refined product is going to be going $1.4. Of course, we don't eat West Texas crude, but it is the benchmark for most of the rest of the United States. On the monies here, on the markets, everybody closed down except the S&P 500. S&P 500 closed up by just a nothing of a percent. NASDAQ, they closed at 2670. NASDAQ at 7128. They're off by about 18 points. And the Dow Jones Industrial Averages down by a very, very small figure, 14.25. And against the 24,448 that they closed up with, or down with, it's really not that much by way of a percentage. The FTSE is up by 30 points. Nikkei down by 74 points. They close at 22,088. Hang Seng is in the red. Shanghai is in the red. The VIX is in the red. And why are the Asian markets down? Why are we seeing the down on the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones Industrial Average? Tech fell 0.4%, with Facebook and Amazon and Netflix and Alphabet all closing lower today. 10-year Treasury notes hit a high of 2.99%, threatening to reach 3%. It wasn't that long ago. I poo-pooed it because, you know, I'm stubborn that way. Everybody's saying that we ought to be moving into a bear market soon. And when you see 10-year notes going up to about 3%, maybe there's an indication that that's actually going to happen. The Dow posted its longest losing streak since March. Higher rates are pressuring equities as well. And that's why the markets are all ending up the way they are. That's what you're looking at. That's what I'm looking at on the market report. Now is a pretty good time at 20 after to bring in the voice of Jerry Roberts. It's time for the Extra Point.
They say it takes 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become a world-class expert in a specific pursuit. But what if you don't have 10,000 hours? I'm Jerry Roberts, and let's talk about what you can accomplish with a much lower investment of time next on The Extra Point. The concept of spending 10,000 hours in deliberate practice to become a world-class expert originated with Anders Ericsson, a professor of psychology at Florida State University. Ericsson's work is the basis for the 10,000-hour rule featured in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers. In the past, when I've run this concept by people, a lot of them have shook their head and said, okay, 10,000 hours? Well, let's break that down. If I practice 2 hours a day, say 6 days a week, that's 12 hours a week, divided into the 10,000, and that's only 833 weeks. Or 16 years? 16 years? Yeah, Jer, I'll get on there right away. Okay, I get it. Maybe you're saying, what can I get for 1,000 hours? Same study habits, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. All right, let's find out. I took math up until the third grade or something, and I know that 1,000 is 10% of 10,000. So 10% of 833 weeks is 83.3 weeks, rounded down to 83. And that's about 19 months, a touch more than a year and a half from now if you start today. How much could you learn? How good could you be? If you enrolled in a college to learn the same subject, you'll get 20 weeks times 3 hours per week or 60 hours of instruction. I'm not out and out comparing the value of a college course versus self-study. But in hours alone, 1,000 hours is more than 16 3-unit college courses. In my readings and personal experience, I think I can give you a semi-educated guess, seeing as though I'm only semi-educated. Here we go. If you read a highly regarded book on your preferred subject, you're probably ahead of 80% of the rest of the world. If you read several books and get a little hands-on experience where you apply what you've learned, you're likely at the 95% level, including being equal to or surpassing many people who actually work in that field. If you spend 83 weeks, 1,000 hours in full-bore study of your field, I'd be comfortable saying that you might be able to hold your own with the majority of practitioners. We're not talking about doing brain surgery after 83 weeks, or building a nuclear reactor, or becoming a starting pitcher for the Dodgers. Some things may require more time and certain talents and skills that go beyond our conversation today. In most cases, however, what I've said will work for you. Here's the key. Think what you want to do, make a decision, and get started. Call me in 83 weeks and let me know how it turned out. That's The Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
I'm trying to do the math on that while he was pouring over it. 10,000 hours, right, in order to get to be expert class in whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm trying to figure out 4 hours a day, five days a week. and how many years before I got to that 10,000 number, even as long as I've been doing radio. I don't know, 7:22 in the morning. Extra Point, you want to know more, or you want to get a copy of that, download it at guamtraining.com. It's 7:22. Be right back.
Summer's right around the corner, but first shifting to spring with Triple J. With 0 down, 1.9% financing, and easy trade-in, now is the time to buy. Get into our big boy truck, the Ford F-150, starting at $217 per paycheck. Car and Drivers 10 Best, Mazda CX-9 at $242 per paycheck. The Mazda 3 Sedan at only $137 per paycheck. Or the North American Car of the Year, the 2018 Honda Accord at only $216 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J Auto Group, customers first.
Is there traffic this morning? Yeah. Is the Pope a Catholic? Wait a second. I just realized, 2019, depending on the guy we're talking about, there might be people that would disagree with that notion. But let's take a look at what's happening on the traffic gizmo here. Traffic in and out of Marine Corps Drive as you make your way towards the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base. You will see a couple of spots where it looks like you're going to be slowing down. Marine Corps Drive on the way into the rest of the island. If you're headed southbound, you're going to see traffic, more cars than usual in the usual places. Looking to see if there's anything that might slow you down over at Fatima Mobile into and out of that intersection. Not quite snagging it at 1 and 3 just yet, but eventually it will. 8, 10, and 16 looks like it's still in the clear right now. Don't even see a line of traffic headed towards Teadston, so now might be a good time to get on the roadways. But I will say that while you are on Purple Heart Memorial Highway, as you get closer to Mighty and the Pokey Fry area, you're going to start seeing traffic build up a little bit more. That's right now traffic on the point.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Yes, it's ripe for speculation. Before too much longer, we'll get Dr. Vince Akimoto on the line and talk a little bit about the conversation that the GMA is having about the emergent nature of the finances of Guam Memorial Hospital. You thought it was bad in January when there was all this talk about parking hearses in front of the legislature and they just don't care, yada, yada. People are going to die. And the concern among the guys over at the Guam Medical Association is that doctors will have to deviate from the standards of care that they have right now in order to do the job that they need to do in the current shape that Guam Memorial Hospital is in. They think it's big and bad enough that they've got a resolution out that is calling for $30 million to be transferred from the Tourist Attraction Fund. That's GVB slushy cash. And they also want another $10 million to come from Jay Rojas and his traveling money over at GITA. Serious. That's what they're thinking. They think it's got to be now. And the concern is that the CMS is going to come in, take a look at some of the same findings that the Joint Commission made a little bit ago, and if they start pulling the plug on Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements at Guam Memorial Hospital, if you think it's bad now, just wait. Just wait. So there is that concern that the people are talking about. Guys on the Facebook are saying that there might be an opportunity, GMA opportunity in chaos, right? Nice timing, kind of like a financial crisis. Follow the money. Who is going to benefit the most people? Will it be Guam Memorial Hospital? Are you trying to say, James, that you think it might end up being the folks over at the Guam Medical Association? I don't know. I generally think that they've got the most altruistic intentions in mind. And oddly, on the subject of what to do with my hair in a certain age group, save it, go bald. It's a solar panel for a man machine. All right, Brian, I'm not comfortable with you talking about solar panels for a man machine. This conversation makes me very uncomfortable.
Creepy,
doesn't it? It just sounds like
bread,
like thong underwear and fishnet tank tops.
Stop, please.
Just let's not go there. It's way too early to hear about that. I got Charles Eckert saying, "Nice to hear JQ again." That's how you know somebody is old, if they refer to Jerry Roberts as JQ or JQ Fanihi. And earlier we were talking about high school is what escuela and tequila means. Okay, I got you. So, Auntie Narissa, you'd like to call it? I was talking. I'm sorry. I distract myself. Auntie Narissa earlier was talking about the renaming of George Washington High School and renaming it something else because George Washington really didn't have any impact on Guam. Probably didn't even know he existed. It probably wasn't on any maps that he'd ever seen in his life. Those things were kind of rare back in those days, huh? So I'm thinking that maybe the conversation would be interesting to have just at that level. Maybe we ought to think about changing the name of George Washington High School. Let's change it to Simon Sanchez and bring all the kids down from there. And then we won't have to worry about rebuilding the other school. Oh, no redistricting conversation. Sorry about that. But her suggestion is Escuela Taquilu or high school. The only problem with that, Auntie Narissa, would be that it would be called high school at the end of the translation. So I'm not sure that that would work out, but I appreciate it. We'll talk to Uncle Robert about that a little bit later on and see if he's got any suggestions, because I want to say that Uncle Robert graduated. I think he started at the old Tumon High School, but graduated from John F. Kennedy after they had changed the name. Could be wrong. Don't know. I'll work on that. But earlier I was also talking about the revenue from gambling. And it was a disastrous kind of Thursday, Friday, let's work late into the night over at the legislature when they were talking about looking the other way on these game rooms and these gaming devices.
Saturday night, I remember it well. They went up till midnight on that one.
Yeah, right? And not a whole lot by way of input or hearing from the actual people. It just seemed like a pretty good idea. And there was an amendment here and an amendment there. And before we knew it, all of this equipment that had been seized, deemed illegal to use, in gaming operations here on Guam, where all of a sudden legal games room began popping up, and the idea was that it was going to provide the funding for Guam Memorial Hospital into perpetuity, and we'd never have this conversation again.
It didn't happen, did it?
And the worst part of it was they had originally provided, and I think it's still in the language of the measure, for a sunset of this. And they said, and the idea was they were holding up a list of all of the vendors and people that were owed money by Guam Memorial Hospital, and said, when we've paid these guys off, then the gambling devices will go back to being illegal and game rooms will go back to being illegal. But they never incorporated that document as an exhibit to the bill. And when it was all said and done, everybody voted yes on it, but there was nothing that linked it back for any kind of effective sunset provision. And unless somebody goes back in and changes that law, we're stuck. We are stuck with this stuff. And we're stuck with funds that I don't think go anywhere near meeting the needs of Guam Memorial Hospital. And if it doesn't meet that requirement, that there's enough money to help GMH get through their many fiscal crises, then it isn't worth having game rooms in the villages and in the neighborhoods. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm thinking. 7:30 in the morning. Is it headline time? Better believe it. From the Guam Daily Post, here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Neil Weir of the voter rights advocacy group Equally American has filed a petition with the U.S. Supreme Court seeking expanded voting rights for the residents of Guam and the other U.S. territories. Segovia versus United States was dismissed earlier this year by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, and now Weir wants the Supreme Court to review that decision. The plaintiff, Luis Segovia, is a veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he is a resident of Guam. The lawsuit argues that Segovia and others like him living in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands cannot vote for president and lack voting representation in Congress. Weir argues that the Seventh Circuit's ruling earlier this year conflicts with decisions from other federal appeals courts and the U.S. Supreme Court. He hopes the Supreme Court will now grant review of the case. A DOC inmate found with drugs and other contraband while in prison was sentenced in district court yesterday by Judge John Coganor, who ordered Ron Molano Taitno to spend another 18 months in prison, consecutive with the time he's already doing. Assistant U.S. Attorney Belinda Alcantara asked for the maximum sentence of 30 months, but Taitno's attorney, Vince Areola, said his client admitted to the charges and took full responsibility for his actions. He asked for the minimum sentence. Taitno was originally convicted and sentenced in 2011 for bank fraud and possession of stolen U.S. mail. A Umattic man claims he decided to connect power to his family's home on the day he was supposed to self-surrender and report to prison. Lloyd Uggan appeared in the District Court of Guam yesterday for a sentencing for failing to turn himself in November of 2017. The U.S. Attorney's Office recommended a sentence of 12 months behind bars, but the court imposed a sentence of only 6 months. Uggan admitted to being a felon in possession of firearms and in possession of ammunition in April of last year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time in the studio. It's 7:33. Connect longer for less with iConnect's incredible push-to-talk and mobile plans.
So you want to buy a house, but you don't know how much you could borrow. So what do? Well, you come to Bank Pacific and get pre-qualified. Sit down with one of our home loan specialists and let us see how much we can lend you so you know how much you can spend on your new home. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, conditions apply. Come pre-qualified today.
Right. Hey, have you been to Wendy's lately? Have you tried? You know what I've been trying? They've got the bacon. What is it? The Portobello Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger. It's got sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese. There's a smoky sauce that goes over everything. Crispy applewood smoked bacon. It is the candy of meat. Crunchy fried onion tangles atop a juicy beefy patty. For a limited time, you'll find that at Wendy's.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Is there some? I'm just looking at the map to see if anything got better between the last last traffic report and this one. And you remember when I said that things were all clear coming out of GRMC towards Marine Drive? Not so fast. We got a lineup of traffic headed towards the Fatima Mobile and the old and the new flea market there. You might see a line of traffic there, and it looks like there's a lot more traffic than usual coming up at the north end of Dededo, right on through to that Fatima Mobile. It kind of slows down around there, but I'm sure it's going to pick up a little bit later on. And now, what am I seeing here? Route 14 on the way towards the Archbishop turnaround there and into Tumon. Seeing a little bit of traffic through there. Paseo de Oro coming down Epal Road. Down that squiggly line into the Hilton. For some reason, there seems to be a little bit more traffic through there as well. And in front of the Docomo, it's clear, but just before you get to that, in between the ITC building and that intersection where the Pizza Hut is, we're seeing some delays northbound. Now, Agania might be a little bit tricky to get into Agania if you're headed in from Navy Hospital area. It looks like we've got a line of traffic that is moving through there. So it's going to be a little bit more busy this morning, and I don't know why. Maybe just more cars than there were out yesterday. Is it raining outside?
No, it's not. But you can just stop by Circle K and grab some healthy snacks.
Right. Good plan. It's, what have I got? 7:36. That's traffic on the point.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue. Fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop. I can't do this.
I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Lots to get to, not a lot of time. 7:37 in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. On the line with me, Dr. Vince Akimoto. Good morning, Doc.
Hey, Ray. Good morning.
So it's never a dull moment. There's always something to look forward to whenever I think about you. And last night I got a note from Kevin, and the note had attached to it the text of resolution from the Guam Medical Association and call for emergent situation over at Guam Memorial Hospital. And I guess you guys are meeting tonight at the legislative hearing room.
No, the meeting will be tomorrow night.
I'm sorry, tomorrow.
Legislative hearing. Wednesday, I guess it's April 25th at 6 p.m. It's a bit of short notice, but when we heard that CMS was in town and basically that we haven't had any positive feedback regarding the hospital's finances, because I guess all those tax refunds and whatever other money drains are compromising the hospital's ability to get any meaningful capital improvements since that damning report from JCO, I think it's time for some more aggressive actions to be taken, because the level of care at the hospital was already indicted as being substandard by GMH staff. As you recall, that very emotional and passionate testimony by the medical director, the female Japanese medical director, regarding pediatric care at the hospital back in February, and then Dr. Larry Lasama and Dr. Duenas all also, talking about how necessary funding was at GMH, but lost in all this recent fiscal emergency declaration by the governor has been any meaningful transfer of funds to GMH as far as we know, because, again, the hospital administration has been very silent as to how they're dealing with their $10 million, debt to all our medical vendors. And meanwhile, the hospital has deteriorated. I mean, physically, it is in worse shape now than it was in February. It's dirty. Again, the CMS people are going to get a really, it's like when somebody's coming.
Well, we knew that they were in a bad shape from the Joint Commission report, and a lot of that was environmental and operational in nature.
Well, but like when somebody's coming over, you can quickly throw blankets over things you don't want them to see, or if you have ceiling tiles that are wet, you can just replace them and not fix the leak, because they're only going to be there for a couple of hours. So some of the more substantial problems might be cosmetically improved, but CMS folks are pretty smart, so more than likely they're going to move some of those tiles. And fortunately, JCO took some pictures, so I think everything is kind of set up for this to be a very honest evaluation, and we honestly hope the hospital is safe. We honestly hope the hospital has improved itself to the point where the people of Guam will hear from one accrediting agency that, this is as good as any another American hospital. We need that to be said, because GMH is the hospital for the poor. The majority of the members of the Guam Medical Association are staff members of the hospital and are actively involved in inpatient care. There's no one who wants this hospital to fail, but it's failing. So when there's a typhoon coming, whether you want it to happen or not, you need to start your preparations, and you need to be serious, and your neighbors might be looking at you and going, there's nothing going to happen. Don't worry, you're wasting your time. But we are typhoon people. We take warnings and signs of inclement weather seriously, and this feels like a super typhoon. I mean, who would have planned this all, that during an election year, such huge federal impact on our local island would happen all at the same time? It's almost like they want to turn us into Puerto Rico, like they want us to fail, because, the pressure.
No, you're right. Can I just? Today is the day to say it, but we've got the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Interior in the neighborhood. This is the day that you need to say this. They're out here along with the CMS guys, because it's cold in D.C. and we're going to fly to Guam and out into the far-flung territories and get paraded around to see where the money is getting spent. And obviously, there's funds that need to get spent at Guam Memorial Hospital. I cannot decry the nature of their fiscal crisis, because we have reported how many times that we've got problems with paying our vendors. Number one, we've got problems with payments to the retirement fund. Didn't Paula Bamba have to write a note to somebody a couple of weeks ago and say, you need to pay here, otherwise we're not going to let Manangseli retire again? And then there's the making payroll by the hair of their chinny chin chin.
And just in defense of Ms. Benita Maglonia, who's been very helpful and very, willing to meet and talk about her perspective, there are people in the hospital who are not paying their bills. And there are a lot of people who still owe the hospital a lot of money. This would be a good day for them to come forward voluntarily and help their hospital, because I mean, all this drama may make for good political theater, but it's the real deal when you're sitting in the emergency room or in the operating room and you're listening to Ray Gibson. And by the way, you guys have some of the best voices on any radio station. Between you, Michael Knight, Kevin Kerrigan, and that dude Jerry Roberts, you guys sound like NSYNC or Boys to Men. I mean, you guys are wonderful.
Save that. We'll use that one in the promo. We'll go back to GMH and their problems here in just a second. As I got to shrink my butt again. You just made it big. Well, among the vendors among the people that owe money to Guam Memorial Hospital is the government of Guam. Has the Department of Corrections, have we lined up an agreement now so that DepCorp can pay what they owe for the nurses and the medical care that they've got to provide to their clients? Has that been done?
You're going to have to ask Miss Kate Baltazar that. I mean, she was the acting director the last time that question was asked. I mean, there are a lot of smart people at the DOC, and I guess for a while there they were hoping that GMH would just suck it up and take care of the medical needs because they didn't have a budget for it, and they obviously had a lot of other problems. It's all connected. It's one government. I think we need to be working together, and we love what the chief of police did when the governor, told him to do something that maybe he didn't really agree with. I mean, again,
No, I didn't. I frankly, I thought I'd say if my governor told me to shut down a police station, if I'm the chief of police, I say I quit. You can't tell me to do that.
My wife is telling me I got to be nicer these days because, I think the chief of police, to his credit, at least from a chain of command standpoint, it's understandable that he did what he had to do, and he made it very clear with his physical and really just facial expressions that this was not something he agreed with. But he was a soldier, and I think he did what he thought he had to do, at least in the terms of the chain of command. But along those lines, GVB is going to have to do the same. I really appreciate the fact that we're worried about the welfare of a bunch of Japanese corporations that help us with tourism. But our hospital, the poop's hitting the fan. This is a typhoon. A lot of them leave and go back to Tokyo when this happens. So let's buckle down. That $44 million there is a lot of money. If they can spend it all to help make tourism better, then actually maybe tourism doesn't profit us because we have a bad hospital and our schools are failing. And
I think you're looking in the wrong direction. I think there are still cuts that can be made in all kinds of places. You're aware. I mean, listen, I know I get it. It's a big number. So why did we stop cutting if we're in the midst of this fiscal crisis? So we got a % BPT increase.
I do not know why you stopped your austerity measures. You reversed them almost immediately after we stopped talking about increasing BPT.
Right, because it was a fake fiscal crisis, if you ask me. It was political theater. If you want to talk about what's political theater, it's not. And so all of a sudden we've got a % increase in the BPT. That's good for $25 million on top of whatever $30 million they said they still have to go. And they said, okay, we'll hold off on everything else. I'm going, why are you holding off on everything else? Because as evidence now, we still haven't gotten to a point where we can take care of even some of the small financial issues at GMH.
Well,
and certainly none of the CapEx.
Then he was not exaggerating. Apparently, there is a fiscal crisis because they're not paying the retirement fund. They're not paying the medical vendors.
No, you're not. GMH is not. That's not the governor.
Oh, the governor has an organic act responsibility to take care of the hospital, the schools, and public safety. He has no organic act responsibility to take care of GITA or GVB. These other things are make-believe corporate welfare constructs that need to be, protected. But not now. We're in a super typhoon, and the federal government is seeing, are we responsible with the monies that they've loaned us or benevolently bestowed upon us? But, I mean, I think it's rightful for them to expect that we're going to do the right thing with money that the U.S. taxpayers have contributed. I mean, we don't pay any taxes to the U.S. government. We get to keep all our money. Mm-hmm. And the U.S. government funds us hundreds of millions of dollars to try to make our public health care system better. What are we whining about? We just need to do a better job. Now, I have no pity on GITA guys who are flying around the world supposedly generating $8 billion in revenue for Guam because they can't count.
See,
apparently they don't know how to count.
This is such a good time to use that. I'm sorry. Somebody just provided anybody that's got any desire to hold their hand out, whether it's a righteous deal or not, has now got the capability of doing so because
screwed up.
Yeah, you don't put stuff like that on Facebook.
Yeah, well, he hit 2 million miles, and it literally is Marie Antoinette, isn't it? But it finishes the end of that thing after they say let them eat cake or eat the macadamia nuts in a bowl. is everybody's heads get cuts off, and I'm going to line up GVB and GITA first. I'm prepared to sacrifice these folks because, let's face it, none of them are standing on the side of the streets begging.
Well, you're not the entire GMA, and so we'll see what the body has to say about that. And then, like I said, if the governor, as your resolution provides, the governor organic that responsibility to see to the needs of Guam Memorial Hospital, and so if it was me, then I would go back and say we haven't cut deep enough. There's more that needs to be done because the Guam Memorial Hospital is part of the government of Guam. And if GMH needs it, then we are going to go back to the austerity measures table, and anything that we've put away, we are going to restore so we can deepen those cuts and make sure that we've got money that we can divert to GMH.
You can't see, but I've got my hand raised up like the kid in the back of the classroom.
Good.
Sir,
yeah.
Mr. Gibson, where would you cut? According to Benigna Magnolia, the hospital is bare to the bone. They are running on, basically a skeleton crew with 1,000 warm bodies.
I'm not talking about GMH. I'm talking about the rest of the government of Guam. We needed to make deeper cuts than to have stopped where we did. So maybe go back and get the Bond brothers and Les Carlson and the fiscal guys sit down together again with the Department of Administration and start looking today with at what needs to be done so that we can save some money in the government of Guam and divert those savings to GMH so that the CMS doesn't shut down their capability to get reimbursed for Medicare and Medicaid.
I agree, but I think in this day and age, because we went through 5 all-night sessions where vagaries were spoken about, but nothing concrete.
Oh, I remember.
Generally done. But I think if the people of Guam are truly concerned and are going to speak up now, and anybody, including anybody from GVB or GITA, because they cannot be immune from this. If they say not us be cut, then where are you going to cut, and what is the dollar amount? Because we need to do this kind of budgeting now. It is time for us to make very concrete recommendations to our policymakers because apparently they can't come up with any.
It's a 32-hour work week. Why did they stop that? We put the kibosh on the furlough Fridays? Where's the rest of the conversation about reorganization?
I thought you were going to be Governor Calvo. I'm going to be the constructive critic. The 32-hour work week hurt all my hard-working patients who actually do the work while their bum guys who didn't work anyway didn't care if it was 32-hour work week. They went and caught Manihawk. This is the deal, right? 32-hour work week acts like everybody in the government is the same. 80% of those people are doing a great job. 20% of them are campaigning for the next governor.
So I hesitate to go over the ground again, and I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but I will note that not everybody, as they say, hey, we're all, whether we're government of Guam or whether we're private sector, whether we're federal, yada, 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 we're all in the same canoe, right? Well, some people are riding in the first class section of the canoe, and some people are riding in the Section 8 section of the canoe. There are some people whose hourly, their weekly income eclipses the weekly income of others in the private sector and retirees and folks on the fixed income. So not everybody is going to be affected the same way. And I'm telling you that if it's a 32-hour work week, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel it. But you will feel it a whole lot less than the next guy in the private sector. You will feel it way less than somebody that is a retiree.
Okay. I mean, again, I think that it's on the table. It was actually the law of the land or the policy from the governor's office for 5 minutes. So it's just, I think the patients who are in Guam Memorial Hospital right now listening to this are worried. They should be worried. And I'll reiterate it again. We have a choice. The Guam Regional Medical Center is an accredited hospital that has gone through some rigorous checks recently. So we at least know that they're apparently doing a better job. They're getting paid more for the same amount of work at their hospital because CMS believes in them more already. So it cannot be disputed that GMH gets paid less for the same supposed work by CMS because CMS believes that GMH is a better hospital. It functions as a much more American-style level hospital and accepts Medicare at this point. So unlike in the past where GMH could screw up and no one could hold them accountable because they were the only choice, today we have GRMC. And so that is the other dynamic that makes this at least maybe a little bit more salvageable because we can improve GMH, but we don't necessarily need to tell our people that they don't have another hospital option. There is GRMC, and Dr. Olivia Cruz brought up in our last meeting, there's the Naval Hospital. The Naval Hospital could step up and start taking care of the indigent patients from the Federated States of Micronesia, or just the indigent patients from Guam, because Lord knows that shiny new hospital up there is underutilized.
Yeah.
But there are other solutions that involve pain for everybody. I really don't think that the GVB and GITA people should be offended that we're looking at them to step up and help Guam. Let's just make this all one Guam approach. And I'm not attacking them personally. It's not that I'm jealous that they're flying 2 million miles around the world while the rest of us are doing medical missions in Tumaini. But I would like them not to complain too much when we take their 40 million. Smile.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I would be very, very surprised to see it go off in that direction.
Wave.
What's that?
Just wave as the money leaves.
wave as the money goes from one bank account to the other. Look, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I would be surprised if it did. But the legislature is in session. It is an election year, and anything can happen. We've seen what happens when white lab coats show up at the legislature, and so we'll watch and we'll see. So tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at the legislature.
Yeah, and again, I think this is a Guam Medical Association membership meeting. We're very privileged to be able to be having our meeting there. We do want, if people want to watch that there will be a gallery, and they need to be, I guess, discreet about it. We're want to leave the place in as good a shape as we're getting it because the legislature is in session. And so this is an official membership meeting of the Guam Medical Association, and so the members will be obviously given the floor to speak, and we will try to make it as productive as possible for everybody. There will be concrete resolutions that come out of this, either yay or nay regarding the state of emergency at GMH, and the concrete recommendations that are on that draft. That's a draft resolution. The membership has not yet voted on it. Some of them haven't read it thoroughly. There are members reading the RFP for GovGuam, which is another big issue that it actually is one of the big reasons for this meeting is the mandate that GRMC be the only hospital on the GovGuam RFP. Looks like a majority of people don't agree with that, but they would like the GovGuam RFP to be much more, I guess, fair across the board. And then there are other issues, including indigent care. We didn't hold that medical mission on Sunday just because we had nothing else to do. There are a lot of poor people on Guam that are not benefiting from, supposedly the tourism economy. And so we need to take care of those people better, and we're going to try to talk about really solid, concrete ways to do it in front of our federal visitors.
It'd be nice, it'd be nice if the guy could come in and get a better handle on this and work with the Attorney General so that we can all figure out who belongs to who and where to send the bill to, and hopefully get a number higher than $30 million to cover all of the expenses of basically Hawaii, Saipan, and Guam, effectively subsidizing all of the islands of the Pacific. 7:55. One last question for you.
Ray, real quick, if you do see those Department of Interior guys and the CMS guys, just remind them that they can come on down tomorrow evening and join us as well. That would be great.
I will. One last question for you. Who is the president of the Guam Medical Association?
It is Dr. Tom Shea, but Dr. Shea is going to has given, I guess, the control of this particular meeting to Dr. Hoa Nguyen, who is the I guess he's the former president, the chief of staff at Guam Memorial Hospital. So Dr. Nguyen is going to be leading this meeting, but Dr. Shea will be arriving, I guess, a little late after clinic. A lot of doctors are going to be running late after clinic, but hopefully we get a great showing. Either way, the discussion is going to be very important. So we'll see what the result is. You'll get the update on Thursday.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to it. We'll make some phone calls as usual. So tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, legislature. I'm sure they'll find a way to stream that live to everybody. So or get some kind of recording of it on the YouTube. Watch it. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting conversation that we have. Doc, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you. I'll see you pretty soon. And so my takeaway from that conversation, the entire conversation, he loves our voices. He just likes your voice, likes my voice, likes Mikey's voice, and even the Batman, even Jerry Roberts' voice. There is some of the rest of the stuff that goes on in there, and online I'm watching people. Ken says not agreeing with Dr. Vince today. You don't, but you don't have to agree with him. That's the thing with Dr. Vince. Heck, he might even change his mind on this in another couple of days. He might go to the thing tomorrow night and come back and say, wait a second, maybe pulling money out of GITA isn't the right thing to do. Maybe grabbing money out of the tourist tourist attraction fund isn't the right thing to do. Look, the hospitality industry, I'm not going to say it's in a shambles right now, but these are tough times. We've got a major change in the major market that we have enjoyed for the last 50 years. The Japanese aren't coming in the same kind of numbers that they used to before. We've got Koreans coming in, but they're not spending the kind of money that the Japanese are doing. And there's all these changes that are afoot down in Tumon, and it's taken everybody a little bit of time to figure out how to eat that elephant one bite at a time. But it's a big elephant, and everybody's taking small bites because we don't want to scare the new Korean fish away. We've seen it before. You remember one KAL crash, and that it virtually eliminated Korean tourism here for a long, long time. And the old school guys in the business know that it took a lot of work to start, cuddling up to these guys and bringing them back. So I don't believe that the Tourist Attraction Fund is the right place to find this. I don't think taking $10 million from GITA. Disclosure, my sister is the deputy at GITA. All right, so just so you know, it's hard not to have an opinion one way or the other on this one. I don't believe that GITA is the place to get the money from. I think there are other places in the government of Guam, certainly leakage, as was pointed out in the conversation about GMH. Everything that we did on the fiscal crisis was just basically, it was a rewrite. Go and dig up the testimony from Frank Shimizu. I thought that was the salient points that needed to get made in that conversation and the fiscal crisis conversation. Is there money floating around that we might be able to get our hands on in a little bit to take care of Guam Memorial Hospital? Probably. It's going to cause some pain, it's going to cause some anxiety, and it's going to cause for guys to work nighttime hours, and it's going to be cause for guys to work some overtime in the government of Guam you're actually working for that overtime. Just saying. So we'll punch through this conversation a little bit more. Plenty to talk about, plenty to go over in the next couple of hours of the program. I got 60 seconds left in this hour to give you that particular recap. While I'm here, let me say hello to Daryl Pareda and Gilmore Leda and Kenny Williams. And who else is online today? Leo Payuma, Office Sports Guy. Oh, I shouldn't have said your name. You're going to get in trouble now with the man. Marie Arejo and Joe Ten. Obviously, Joe Tan. That one, not the other one, that one. Tommy Bernardo, Carlos Roman, Melissa Salas Akimoto, tuned in just in time to hear her husband. Charlie Loran, listening in on a conversation about GMH from over at GRMC. Comments, Charlie? Send him an email, raygibsonshow@gmail.com. Coming up next, Kevin Kerrigan. No, Fox News Live, then Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all of the big stories today from the Guam Daily Post. It's all ahead right here on KUSG. Hagutnya.
Tragedy in Toronto. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A rental van plows into pedestrians on a crowded street. Several people dead, many others hurt. The driver in custody. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, Toronto police say 9 are dead, 16 injured in this incident. Witnesses say seemed deliberate. Deputy Police Chief Peter Yoon says the probe into what happened and why will be exhaustive.
All our available resources have been brought in to address this tragic situation and to investigate this situation.
In the meantime, the injuries are being tended to. Dr. Dan Cass is Chief Medical Executive at Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto.
At this point, there's 5 that are the most seriously injured that are classified as critical, and three that are serious.
Residents are being told to stay clear of the scene until further notice, Lisa.
Gernal, the man accused of shooting 4 people to death at a Waffle House in Nashville in custody. Travis Ranking was captured this afternoon.
During the searches to arrest, they looked in his back pocket, and in his back pocket he had a wallet, and in that wallet he had a Colorado ID that had his information on there, and which is how we were able to identify him.
Lieutenant Carlos Lara with the Metro Nashville PD.
Once he was in custody, the detectives went, cut off the backpack off of him because he was in cuffs. When they looked into the backpack, they saw a silver Kimber semi-automatic weapon with .45 caliber ammunition, a flashlight, and a holster on his person.
Ranking's father could also face charges for giving guns to his son that were taken from him last year after an incident at the White House where he was charged with unlawful entry and demanded a meeting with President Trump. A key Senate committee voting this hour on the nomination of CIA Director Mike Pompeo to become the next Secretary of State. As they wait for committee members to arrive, Kentucky Republican Rand Paul has announced that in the last hour that he will support the nomination. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
President of France in Washington for his first state visit with President Trump.
President Macron will try to persuade President Trump to remain in the 2015 Iranian nuclear deal, an accord that the president has threatened to quit. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders could not say if the president is open to any compromise.
I don't have any announcements on that front, but the president has been extremely clear that he thinks it's a bad deal. That certainly has not changed.
President Macron said on Fox News Sunday that it would be better to protect the Iran nuclear deal instead of getting rid of it, as there is no other plan. President Trump could exit the deal as early as next month. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
An appeals court has reversed a judge's ruling that the U.S. government is liable for some of the flooding in the New Orleans area after Hurricane Katrina. The ruling reversing a 2015 decision that could have resulted in damage payments to residents and businesses in the lower Ninth Ward. Planned Parenthood and the American Civil Liberties Union file a lawsuit over Indiana's new toughened abortion rules.
Indiana's abortion law will require medical providers who treat women for complications arising from abortions to report detailed patient information to the state. The suit contends that reporting rules and a provision requiring annual inspections of abortion clinics are unconstitutional. The plaintiffs are asking a judge to block the law, which is set to take effect in July. Last week, a federal appeals court struck down provisions of Indiana's law that prohibited a woman from getting an abortion because of gender, race, or disability. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
NBA star Stephen Curry heading to Hollywood in a big way. Sony Pictures Entertainment announcing it struck a deal with the Golden State Warriors guard to produce TV, film, and possibly gaming projects. No specific projects announced, but Curry says in a statement he wants to use the deal to affect the world positively. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. take it easy.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. My name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A 7-member team from the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to conduct an unannounced survey of hospital facilities. GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho telling the Guam Daily Post that he met with the survey team yesterday morning and they advised him that they would be conducting a routine survey. He said the visit was not a for-cause survey and the team wasn't responding to a complaint. The arrival of the CMS survey team comes more than 4 months after the Joint Commission recommended a preliminary denial of accreditation for Guam's public hospital. Camacho declined to speculate on whether the CMS survey this week is connected to that Joint Commission finding back in January. The loss of Joint Commission accreditation, if it happens, would have no immediate financial impact on GMH, but a failing grade on a CMS survey this week could be disastrous because it could lead to the loss of millions of dollars in federal funding that GMH is dependent upon. Neil Ware of the voter rights advocacy group Equally American has filed a petition with the U.S. Supreme Court seeking expanded voting rights for the residents of Guam and the other U.S. territories. Segovia versus United States was dismissed earlier this year by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, and now Ware wants the Supreme Court to review that decision. The plaintiff, Luis Segovia, is a veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he is a resident of Guam. The lawsuit argues that Segovia and others like him living in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, as well as here on Guam, cannot vote for president and lack voting representation in Congress. Ware argues that the Seventh Circuit's ruling earlier this year conflicts with other decisions from other federal circuits and the U.S. Supreme Court itself, and he hopes the Supreme Court will now grant a review of the case. We'll have more news after this.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. The Guam Department of Education just weeks away from officially requesting the U.S. Department of Education lift its years-long status as a high-risk recipient of federal education funds. Guam DOE Superintendent John Fernandez making the announcement yesterday after returning from a meeting last week with federal education officials in Washington where they discussed the draft request. Fernandez said he's confident that Guam DOE has met the requirements to be removed from the high-risk grantee status. While in Washington last week, Fernandez and Education Board Chairman Mark Sablan met with Jason Botel, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for U.S. DOE, and they also met briefly with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. Doug Domenech, Assistant Interior Secretary for Insular and International Affairs, along with Office of Insular Affairs Director Nick Pula, are on Guam this week for a visit with island leaders. They're slated to meet with Governor Calvo this morning at Antelope. Yesterday, they met with Guam DOE Superintendent John Fernandez and paid a visit to Southern High School. Later, they stopped by Guam Memorial Hospital to talk with Administrator Peter John Camacho, where they spoke briefly with the Guam Daily Post. Domenech told the Post that they're on island to meet with officials and look at projects that they are funding. He said there might be some financial assistance discussed, but that's between them and the governor, he said. Pula said they're on a trip to all the Pacific territories so that the assistant secretary can familiarize himself with the region and the issues since he was nominated. Pula and Domenech arrived from American Samoa over the weekend. They're headed to the CNMI tomorrow. A man is in critical condition after his BMW vehicle slammed into a concrete power pole in Asin last night, just before 7 p.m. Police say the driver was traveling in excess of 100 miles an hour when he slammed into the concrete power pole. He was taken to Naval Hospital with what authorities say was life-threatening injuries. His condition this morning has not been released. The crash remains under investigation. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with some weather.
Well, thanks very much. Partly sunny today with isolated showers. There's increasing cloudiness during the day, becoming mostly cloudy this evening. Scattered showers after midnight. They expect winds out of the east up to about 15 miles an hour, decreasing a bit. Overnight highs today should be 88 degrees and overnight lows about 76 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:35. We anticipate the sun rise tomorrow morning about 6:02, and it will rise regardless of the vorticity that is apparently in the region, as referred to earlier by Michael Knight when we were talking about where this weather is coming from, and you had indicated that there's vorticity at work somewhere. I'd never heard that word.
Vorticity. It's really a meteorological term. If you try to look it up,
you make it up all the time. You guys, meteorologists make stuff up all the time.
That's one of those words. Yeah, it has no other use.
It's anywhere. A shear. A shear what? It's just shear. Don't ask. We're the weather guys. We went to school for this. Knock it off.
Yeah, just think of cutting hair. Same thing.
Still working on the haircut thing. All right, 8:13 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
And portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. 40 years they've been serving favorites to families just like yours. And they'll keep doing it. Always open, always local. That's King's Restaurant.
Hafaday, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
Portions of the program brought to you by Security Title, providing solutions for even the most complex real estate transactions.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Morning Talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
And call in, especially if you got like a sports thing, like a sports tip or something like that. That would be awesome, because we have our sports deal here every morning when Blake comes in, and as I said, with heavy tongue in cheek, we spend a little bit of time pretending to talk about sports. That usually leads us into another conversation about something even more fun. Shall we get into it, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for Sports with Blake.
I do like this bet best.
Yeah. It's a good one.
It's got a very NFL-ish.
Right, yeah, overtones, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the little bell hit that they get.
Yeah,
it's
you
supposed to be
expect to hear,
reminiscent.
you expect to hear John Facenda on the Frozen.
Don't do that.
Thunder.
No, wait. You got to turn the music down. If you're gonna do that voice, you got to turn it down and really come on. You got to milk it. You got to get in there. Go.
On the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
I think you need more you, less music, more you. Is it project?
Oh. What are we in radio or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying not to look at you and just get the audio.
So you can't do that with me, because I look nothing like I sound.
I want my headphones to thunder. That's what I want. I want to feel that. See, I got two drivers in these in-ear headphones. I want to feel the bass driver start to vibrate. That's what I like.
I think I've got this thing in negative.
Actually, you know what? Actually, when it came to doing, because all the microphones, a little inside baseball thing here, all of the microphones have a degree of processing on them. I don't actually sound like this. I think if I turned off the microphone processing, I'd end up sounding like this.
No, I've gone to country.
So I've got my Heil microphone, I got the processing in here, and I started thinking about, when we were putting things together, I started thinking about the processing for Mike's microphone, Michael's microphone, and the thing is, I didn't want to color the sound of his voice anymore with any additional processing. I think it was perfect the way it is. So
Nice.
you have literally the only dry microphone in the building.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I
He's all flattered now. He's all,
I know, right?
Look,
It's
first
like,
Vince,
what
now
was I
Ray. This is
saying?
what a great morning. Everybody loves me.
Suddenly, I've got this feeling that's come over me.
All right, so even Kevin's laughing at that one. That's fun. All right, so is there any sports today, Blake?
No, back to you, Ray. Kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Only time I've used it today.
Don't do it, because I always got someplace to go. Always got a spot.
No. This is always by request. So shout out to the Notre Dame Royals. Stay perfect over the weekend as they faced the Red Hot Lady Knights from St. John. It was a tough battle. However, the Royals escaped 2-1, and they almost let it go. But Brianne Leon Guerrero and Cheyenne Roberto helped them to hold on for the win. They also get player of the game, and they're undefeated. So as the season's starting to wind down into the home stretch, and meanwhile, in other high school girls action, looks like the Lady Knights will have a chance at redemption against the Guam High Lady Panthers. That at St. John kickoff at 4:30 this afternoon, and Teedson High they'll pull out the claws as they have to go over to GFA and face off against the mighty Academy Cougars. That game also set for a 4:30 kick.
Is there track and field starting again soon?
No.
No?
No, I think there is not IIAG, but there is a track and field something or other. As I scroll
the
down.
reason I ask, I'm doing my run last night. I'm going through Tumon, and in the oncoming direction are a bunch of students, and I think they were from Teedson. I think because they were all wearing shirts that said Teedson, so I presume that they were from Teedson.
You're right. I'm wrong.
Okay, and so I thought, okay, there must be something going on. They must be out there practicing. But what struck me was there were some that you could tell were some kind of a part of a team because they had shoes on.
Oh, okay.
They're actually running with shoes on, and they were running.
Right.
And then there was a bunch of them that were running with Zoris, and a couple of them that were running in bare feet. And then of course you had the stragglers towards the back, who must have been just a support squad, because they were walking and they had one of those Bluetoothy things behind them, so they were, walking behind and playing Cardi B jams or something like that. Keeping everybody
Bodak
entertained.
Yellow.
Keeping everybody entertained. So I thought, are we ramping into another season? Okay.
I was actually wrong. I get them confused. Cross country is first quarter. Track and field is fourth quarter.
Okay.
And they're entering mid-season, Ray. You have the IIAG track and field. And the reason you probably saw them running is because they are all trying to qualify for the All-Island meet, which is coming up very, very soon.
Got it.
So they're definitely in training mode as they about to hit midpoint in the track and field season.
So this is an important point that every once in a while, when the right people ask the right questions, you'd be surprised at how generous Guam's running community can be.
Mm-hmm.
We recognize that there is a lot of talent out there that would like to run in new or recently loved shoes. And listen, I know runners who look at their running shoe collection the way Imelda Marcos looked at her shoe collection. And but I'm one of those guys. If I wear these shoes for a while, and if I'm not putting a whole lot of mileage on them, but I want to buy a new pair of shoes, I just keep them until a buddy of mine, Manny, will generally say, okay, all you runners that have got all these shoes that you've been sitting on for a long time that you're not wearing anymore because you've got the new Hokas or you got the new Balance or you got the new whatever it is, then give me your old shoes, and he'll steam clean them and then give them to students and other people that need them. So here's, it's not my place to make the offer, but I can broker the deal. Is if you are a coach or if you've got cross-country teams or track teams or something like that, and the kids are qualified, but they just can't afford $120 worth of new shoes over at the mall, right?
Expensive.
There's guys that have shoes. There's girls that have shoes in their size that they're not wearing. They're taking up space in a closet or something like that. And so, like I said, I can help make that connection. So if that's the case, RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. Be happy to help.
Definitely, hit up Ray, especially if you're one of these athletes that he's talking about, because we always talk about there's always some kind of running event, right?
But you're not going to get any of my shoes. Now I'll tell you what, because I'm cheap. I'm cheap. I have 2 sets of running shoes, and that's all I'm wearing these days. 2 sets of running shoes. I have a pair of New Balance that I like because they're very, very light. I use them for.
Are they light?
Everything under 13 miles or so. I'm using. In fact, I've run them. The podiatrist will hate me for this, but I ran a half marathon in these real light trainers that I got, and then I've got another pair that I will wear for long distance, but I don't like the color. So I haven't been wearing those shoes as much. I really should, but I haven't been wearing those shoes as much. But I've got 2 pairs of running shoes in my life right now, and that's all I need. But as I said, there are people. There's and he'll admit it. Dave Torrey, right? The triathlete. Dave Torrey has got a shoe fetish. He loves his running shoes and knows things about running shoes that I don't know about. He's just crazy about them.
Running shoes up there with it's that special niche like guitars or cigars,
guns,
or guns, even like nice boats. This is one of those.
He'll tell you what the degree of the rise is on the back, and
car engines
in millimeters. How big the drop is between the back and the front of the shoes.
The loft on the arch.
What the cant is on, because there are some shoes that do that. They, instead of having the laces straight up and down, they'll cant them.
Right.
So that they provide a little bit more of a bite on the side.
Cant never could.
I used to. I had a pair of shoes. One of my favorite. I had his basketball pair of shoes from Dennis Rodman, 1996, and it was one of the first shoes I ever had. And they tied on the side. Kids used to.
Wow.
So it was very strange. It was like they tied on the side, and then the top was kind of like a big puff. Kind of looked like a marshmallow puff.
Wow.
Looked like marshmallow shoes.
I miss Velcro.
Yeah.
Everybody had the Reebok shoes back in the 1980s with the 2 slats of Velcro that went over the sides.
Yeah.
Those were awesome.
Yeah.
Why did they have to stop making them? You can still get shoes with Velcro on them, right? Like the basketball shoes that they lace up in the bottom, but they Velcro at the top. So
you can still get shoes that pump. Like.
Nice.
Okay,
What good did that ever do?
Yeah.
It tightens up your shoe so you can jump like Jordan.
Oh, yeah, and everybody bought those shoes, and everybody could jump like Jordan. It destroyed the NBA for
Need
2
the
or 3
pump.
seasons until
What was
he's-
that movie where was it Austin Powers where he comes back, he gets unfrozen, and he pumps it so much it blows up in his face, it explodes.
Just to try those things out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, there's that. Plenty of other stuff that we got to get to in the morning show. On this side, I'm sure you're just as busy on Star 101, so I'm going to let you
I
get
am.
out. Got anything else to end up the show with?
No.
No. Weren't you supposed to talk about somebody today?
I was going to talk about Helena Garcia. Helena Garcia had an interception, game solidifying interception. She also scored, I believe, the only points as her women's tackle football league won 6-0 over the weekend. They beat the Cats, and of course, this is coming after she scored all 5 goals in her 5-4 victory with the GW Lady Geckos over the weekend.
Wow.
And earlier, if you remember, maybe a couple weeks ago, we talked about her shining bright like a star.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Over in the Hong Kong tournament, out of something like 800 something athletes, she was the standout among in rugby. So you're talking about 3 sports over the course of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
She was lighting it up last year, too, right?
by the way,
'Cause I
she is
remember
a senior in high school.
Because I know when I got here, people were talking about her.
Helena
And then
Garcia.
Then I went out and did some video and saw, and I was like, wow.
She,
this girl-
I know her well. She, I enlisted her services one time. I was covering a game at GW in the GW gym, and she happened to be there in the stands, and she didn't have anything to do, and I needed help working the microphone for the interview and the camera.
Oh, nice.
So she held the camera for me. There's pictures of it and everything. Yeah. So shout out to the great Helena Garcia, standout athlete. She continues, and this is women's tackle football. So I mean, she's playing with women, moms, 20, 30-year-old women.
Don't even let that enter your mind, because when
Right.
those girls get out there and start playing, they're playing for real.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying, for an 18-year-old, a young lady too, and she's not very big at all. She's just quick, quick and got the moves. So
Sassy.
shout out to the great Helena Garcia, shining in rugby, in soccer, and in women's tackle football.
We like the sassy here. I'm going to let you go. 8:27 in the morning. That's Sports with Blake right here on The Point.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care, one patient at a time.
Well, with my pretty good eyes, let me take a look at the traffic gizmo and let you know where the slowdowns are going to be. If you are going up Santos Hill, that is the one that starts at, wait a second, this is down Santos Hill. There's a rarity. All right, so if you are headed down where Tagada is, you might experience a little bit of a slowdown as you make your way into Tumon this morning. If you're coming out of Tumon on that same stretch of road, no major problems there. I was looking at another line of traffic on Route 8 by 8, 10, and 16, but oddly, this is not affecting southbound traffic. This is affecting northbound traffic, and it seems to be a big line. It looks like it's coming out from the about where the Palm Ridge Inn is where this thing begins, and then you kind of go around the bend over where the subway is, and all of that. Expect delays until you get to the intersection of 8, 10, and 16. Maybe an accident, maybe just somebody stalled in the car, or maybe just somebody fell asleep at the light. Hey, it'll happen. That's what's going on. Traffic this morning on The Point.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of April. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
So every once in a while, somebody will say, hey, Ray, you heard the governor's off island. You didn't give him a hard time for going off on a junket. I said, I don't do that. I said, hey, I heard Jay Ross is off island. He's going to Korea or headed to New York or San Francisco and negotiate with the bottom. How come you don't give him a hard time about that? I said, I don't do that. I don't do that. Hey, Ray, Mark Mendiola and John Fernandez, the two czars of education on Guam, headed off to Washington, D.C., some kind of junket there. How come you don't give them a hard time about that? I said, I don't do that. Because you know what? Sometimes these guys come back with money. I can't tell you the number of times where governors have gone off to Washington, D.C., and you go and you have a couple of meetings with somebody in the in the Beltway, and then pretty soon, you come back and say, oh, yeah, we were able to get a couple more millions of dollars worth of some grants. And I've lived here on Guam when a couple of $1 million in additional grant money is like, yeah, that'll keep the lights on for a while. I've been here when times were that bad. And so I don't give our leadership a hard time when they go away and come back with money. Looks like we've done the same thing with the two guys that went off for DOE, Mark Mendiola and John Fernandez. Word is that they've were able to find a couple more dollars sufficient. I mean, it's a couple of $1 million in a couple of different funds that they have now come home with, on top of the original idea of going in there and saving even more millions by getting us out from under the third-party fiduciary deal. So that's a good deal. That's why I don't give them a hard time. That's why I sometimes you gotta go. Sometimes the best thing is to get in somebody's face in Washington, D.C. That's how you come back with cash. So that's why I don't give him a hard time. 8:31 in the morning, you're listening to The Ray Gibson Show on The Point, in time for his last look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post, my friend Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 32 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, an emergency meeting of the Guam Medical Society has been called for tomorrow evening at the legislature to consider funding recommendations for Guam Memorial Hospital. Dr. Vince Akimoto says a draft resolution has been drawn up. It's being circulated to GMA members and others in the island's medical community. The draft calls for a declaration of a state of emergency for the island's public hospital. It asks, among other things, for the immediate transfer of $30 million from the Tourist Attraction Fund to GMH to pay for medicine supplies and the rectification of Joint Commission safety violations. The Port of Guam has incurred $4.3 million in legal fees over the past 5 years, according to the latest audit from the Office of Public Accountability. And while the Port Authority's legal bills have increased, its operating revenue decreased by 2.5% to $50.9 million in fiscal 2017. That's because of a decrease in cargo flow. According to the audit, the number of containers processed through the port last year fell to just 96,000 from 103,000 the year before. Guam police have arrested a man and a woman for their alleged involvement in a string of vehicle burglaries last Saturday in Tumon, Tamuning, and Pidi. 28-year-old Ralph Hutton and 21-year-old Carol Otobed were also arrested on drug allegations. Police stopped the couple's vehicle, which matched the description of a vehicle seen in 4 of the vehicle burglaries. According to the magistrate's report, inside the couple's car, officers recovered some of the items that had been stolen from the vehicles. They also found screwdrivers, pliers, wire cutters, and suspected marijuana and methamphetamine. Also inside the vehicle was the couple's 10-year-old child. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I think I will. It's 8:33 in the morning, and that is iConnect. Time connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk and mobile plans.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Portions of the program also brought to you by our pals over at Wendy's. And if you have not had one yet, I urge you, I implore you, I will beg you to go and have one of these incredible cheeseburgers today. What do they have in it that makes it so good? It's not any one specific thing. Bye, Kev. It's not any one specific thing. It's the way that they molded them together. You've got smoky sauce, sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, there's crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions. Not onion rings, but onion tangles on top of this juicy, beefy patty. And the bread is good, too. You know, you have that with a bowl of chili on the side. I'm slurping. I'm sorry. It's a Japanese thing. You know, if you slurp, it's good manners. And There it is again. No, I got, because you know what I was thinking of? No, they've got these strawberry lemonades over at Wendy's, right? So so for me, that's kind of the combo there.
Oh, okay.
Although I will, if I'm feeling extra splurgy, I will ponder the idea of the burger and the chili and the strawberry lemonade and a chocolate frosty on the side.
There you go. Thank you. Got to have the frosty.
You're welcome.
I like it because it's it's not fat free.
So now we're definitely lunching here today. That's what I'm thinking. 8:35. Swing by Wendy's, would you?
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Not too long ago, I spoke about time being the ultimate currency, that there's nothing more valuable. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we look at another currency that can make a difference.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
It's my new favorite radio station, Honest. I listen to it all the time. Tuesday, Brian Kilmeade later on. The original right-wing bomb throw. I got Rush Limbaugh. And I got to mention this every once in a while because I'll be out somewhere and people go, "Where are you working now?" And I'll tell them 93.3, and they'll say, "Oh, that's cool. That's nice. You got a morning show there." I said, "Yes. Who does your afternoons?" I said, "Rush Limbaugh." Rush does the afternoons, and they're like, "He's back." And I go, yeah, Rush Limbaugh's back on the radio. But that's the reaction that I love the most is when I tell somebody that Coast to Coast is back on the radio. The original Things Go Bump in the Night program is on, and we're carrying it. I don't know, what is it? 5 days a week, 6 days, 7 days a week. We've got several hours. I forget which days are like almost all night, and some nights are like 4 hours. But the show is on. So if you've got a hankering for that, ran into my Nyao's brother the other day, and he was telling me when he was a cop, I used to do this overnight thing, right? As a cop driving around the middle of the night, and it's just him and the radio. And the first couple of times he heard it, he said, "What is this strangeness that I'm listening to? What is this? What kind of crazy people are on this show?" And then he found himself night after night after night after night. Guess what? You're one of the crazies now. There you go. Now, we'd normally jump into last look at traffic and at this point, but let me just take care of this because it's important. DPW is asking me to remind you that from today through Friday, there will be intermittent lane closures on Route 3 southbound lane from 9 until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, there'll be flaggers out there and cones and barricades and guardrails and things like that, but keep an eye out for that construction as it's going to be going on, again, between 9 and 4. It will be 9 o'clock in 22 minutes. I'm looking at Route 3 traffic right now. Don't see any serious delays on the southbound lane on it. That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. They could be just setting up right now. Traffic in front of Marine Corps Drive northbound is a little bit slow in front of that intersection with 1 and 3. But as I said, I don't see anything gathering on Route 3 right now. 8:38, got my very close, very dear personal friend, the director of the Mayor's Council. It's got Angel Sublime. Good morning, Lay.
Hey, good morning, Ramon. How are you doing?
I'm okay. When's the carnival?
Check with the governor's office.
That's all Governor Calvo now, right?
I believe there's a committee, yes, that's been appointed for that.
Right. Well, we talked about that, but I was wondering.
We're still doing the parade and the raffle and the pageant, but we're going to be working together with them to make sure that whatever they need for the carnival, as far as logistics or help that we can give, we certainly will do it.
Right. And among, I guess, some of the other conversations that they're having is the idea that there's 43 acres of land across from where the guard house is, the Guard and Reserve headquarters.
Yeah, where we used to have the site for the Liberation Carnival.
Right. The slum, I like to call it when I pass by that place because it looks kind of ramshackle and broken down. And if they're not going to use it, just make them take it down to the grass and just bulldoze everything down.
There's plans for using it, and of course you're talking about the Barragán Mayor's office. They if they get jurisdiction of the place, they actually want to turn it into like a day market or a flea market sort of type, and have a farmers market, so people can come in on a daily basis, and those that have things to sell come in there and sell their stuff.
What's the holdup on that?
Well, the jurisdiction of the location still belongs to Parks and Recreation, and of course, if they have plans, or if they have things that they want to do, I mean, they would still have to. The mayor would still have to get permission and all that. So that's why she was requesting to be given jurisdiction of the property.
So, as a consumer of Tizon, because I go there and we're running, and there was talk a few years ago, and you'll remember Brent McCready and I want to say E.J. Calvo. They're together in my mind, and maybe that's just the way my memory works, but they're together in my mind, and they had a conversation, or there was a conversation a few years ago that would have created a mechanism so that a third party could come in and turn it into a kind of a sports park, if you will.
That's correct, and actually they've succeeded on one portion where the former gym was the Neva Gym, NCS gym. They've actually turned that into a beautiful gym now. And
really?
Yes, yeah, and they work with Parks and Rec and a public-private partnership, and it's like a brand new gym now. If you drive back there, it's right next to the Tizon High School.
No, I never been there.
Yeah,
and you can go in there. Whose gym is that?
Well, you have to call Parks and Rec, because I know they work with E.J. Calvo and others to make that happen.
Oh, okay, that's wicked cool. Okay, so I'm gonna try. I haven't passed by on that's not my route when I run there, so I have not passed by there. But I'll take a look at it. So that was the first part of it, and then they would take over and manage the ballpark for the baseball and the other field that they had for the other thing, and maybe refurb and enhance the tennis courts that were out there, because that's what it was originally designed for when it was the old Naval Air Station, was kind of a recreational section. So I was kind of hoping that we'd be able to go back to doing something with that down the road.
Yes, and actually the Beauregard Mayor has been working with on the football field, and whoever was operating there was in charge there. Actually, the mayor's office now is paying for the power for that field, so that the kids can come in and use it even in evening time, so that the lights can go on. I heard a figure yesterday. They were saying from the legislature that somebody was paying $10,000 a month for power on that area. But I've just checked in our records, and we got the bill for March for that football field. It was only a little bit over $200. So.
Yeah. It's they turn off the lights when they're gone. It's not like the other places where they leave them burning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it's a nice central location, and it would be a good place to get all kinds of people with all kinds of sports endeavors to get to work. Now, as I understand the horns of the dilemma now, it's not for a lack of wanting to give the authority. It's just that we've got to build in a mechanism so that the mayor's office or whoever, mayor's council, would be able to lease out portions of that 43 acres to a third party to let them do some work on it.
That's correct, yes.
So,
and I believe there's already people lined up. They've been talking with the Beauregard mayor on doing just that.
So when do we find out who all these great people are?
Well, hopefully the bill can be passed with the legislature first, and enacted into law before we start giving people say, there's a portion of the paintball area, that's still being leased out.
I thought that was private property. I thought that actually belonged to somebody.
No, that's Parks and Recreation. They actually have a lease with that individual to use that as a paintball facility.
But
that whole area is under Parks and Recreation.
So the other side of the equation is, and to the degree that the mayors have already a pretty full plate of taking care of things in their village, I suppose the question that I want to ask you is, why don't we give this back to Jay Rojas? And let Jay put together a who of guys whose job is going to be, and we can call it a trust if you want to, is you get a bunch of guys, and this is going to be what their job is, to make sure that those fields are always maintained, that they're always being used, that the place isn't getting vandalized in the middle of the night and wires stolen off the lights, and all of those things that we want to see. And they would also be in charge of getting the different vendors. So if we've got somebody that wants to build up some kind of a gym or an exercise path along the area, we can bring in the sponsors to do that. If we want to have somebody comes in and mixes smoothies and energy drinks and all of that kind of stuff, or hot dogs and hamburgers from when there's games being played. Let these guys do all of the marketing behind that and make it so that the mayors and the Department of Parks and Rec at the end, they just hold their hand out and somebody puts checks in it.
Well, that's a great idea. I'm just wondering why it hasn't been done. Actually, the only real interest of the mayor is there's so many teams in Barrigada that are playing, and they need these fields, and she just wants to have a place for them to be able to do their games, to exercise, to practice. And she's still going to open it up to the
and that's a good thing. I mean, she's got the field by the office. She's got the basketball court, and I think Tommy Morrison or somebody finally a couple of years ago went and actually put holes. I mean, the rims for the basketball finally up there.
Like you say, if Gita wants to come in and do a public-private partnership, hey, all the better.
Well, I just think that they're the appropriate people to do it. Don't you agree?
Certainly.
Yeah. So let them come in. They're kind of the same what they're doing with the old vocational rehab, right?
Right.
Is we know we want to identify funds that will be derived from this project, and we'll give that to the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. I'm sure I'm calling it by the old name, and then it's DISIT now, right? Okay, so I'm sorry, we're old, right? So that's what they told me at Gibson, Zombie. But we'll give the money to them. We'll do the same thing with this property. We'll go ahead and put together a marketing plan. We'll find the people that will operate it. They will operate it for a certain amount of money, and anything left over from that, then we give to the Department of Parks and Recreation for them to use. We give it to the Mayor's Council for them to use. Heck, I'll bet you could even make enough money on something like that to make a carnival.
Great idea, Ramon. That's why you should run for senator.
I don't want that job. I don't want that job. You don't want that job anymore. When was the last time you ran for office?
Oh, umpteen years ago.
Umpteen years ago. I see now, and you're one of those guys. See, you should try now. Taggy now, because there's.
They're asking me, but oh, geez, no. I enjoy where I'm at now. I'm working with the mayors, and we'll let it take its course. I always believe that the man upstairs decides what's going to happen.
Well, I don't disagree with that. So sometimes I question his decisions in my life, and sometimes I question the decisions he makes in other people's lives, because you just look around and sometimes you go, that person does not match the job. But you've been doing that thing there long enough. I will give you another point, and it's something that we talked about a lot, but I think it's something that we've got to talk about more. And it's a concern that I've got on a couple of different levels about the ability of the mayors to cite people in the village for acting up or not doing it right, or not having their dogs behind the fence, or dumping trash in the neighborhoods. That really needs to be a full court press, and I don't know if there's time to do it now between here and the new mayors coming in. But as with the Mayor's Council, as soon as you got some new guys coming in, let's close the book on that one, because you guys they really need to be the peace officers that they're elected to be.
Well, this I'll tell you, we're going to push it, and we'll make sure it happens before 2020, before the other mayors come in. We'll make these mayors that are here now be able to do that. Actually, they have the authority now. It's just that there's some processes that they have to go through to make it really happen.
Let's find out what they are, because how impossible can it be? Get them some books and tell them how to do it.
Like the court doing an actual sit down for so many hours, I think 16 hours that they have to do, in training them on how to do the citation and where you're going to put all these lock boxes and all this stuff. So those are things we have to go through.
Okay, so it's going to be Law Month in May, and I will have both Justice Merriman and Justice Torres in the studio, and I will ask them to make it a priority for the court to insist that this gets done, to insist that these guys, under penalty of the marshals coming to get them, bench warrant. We'll get the classes done.
Needs that, yeah.
Yeah, but if you just say that's the possibility, right? There's a striking number of people will show up to something if they think the marshal might come and get them. Hey, dude, I got to run.
Already?
All right.
Hey, great talking to you.
It's always fun talking with you too. I hear the points that we need to make on this one, and hope we're able to get to the end of it. Angel Ciblon from the Mayor's Council with me on the line, and the topic is we need to think bigger when it comes. We need to think bigger when it comes to Teedson, period. I mean, with whatever public lands there are still, or lands that are available to the public, we need to think bigger. To turn the thing into, I don't know, a daytime farmers market, or a daytime or another night market in the neighborhood. Yeah, that's entertaining. That might be interesting. And if for no other reason, it'll take the really good people from the night market in Agana and the really good people at the Thursday night market in Manila and put them in Barrigada. Okay, but there's two problems with that. Number one is it's hard to get into Tizen anymore. There's only like one good way to get into Tizen, and that part of Tizen in particular. And so we'd have to open up. We'd have to punch through a couple of holes in the old fence to get that done. You know what? I think it was easier to get onto Naval Station, onto Tizen, when it was the Navy than it is to get onto the place now. So that's number one. And number two, I don't think they're thinking big enough. I think there's more that can be done with that space that can involve, the invisible hand of commerce and find ways to put money into the hands of the mayors and Parks and Rec. And that I know both of them need it.
You just got to tell him. Right?
Hey, Uncle Robert, don't say bad words because we're on the radio.
Okay, how are we doing?
I'm doing okay. Do we want to rename GW? What did she call it? Escuelan Taquilo?
Taquilo. Escuelan Taquilo. Yeah, high school.
High school.
High school. There you go. Escuelan Taquilo High School.
It'd be kind of redundant, but it will work. So a couple of reasons why I wanted to talk to you today, and Escuelan Taquilo isn't one of them. The other one was you got Leo Babauta, the incredible the homegrown blogger, right? That's going to be speaking at the university today.
He is. He's speaking at 2 o'clock, and he's going to tell us how to live minimally and get rid of all your junk.
So I'm a Taurus, and that ain't going to happen.
No, I mean he's the single most successful blogger from Guam. He's got way over 1 million followers, and he gives 10 tips, Zen type tips on how to live your life and how to live a more satisfying life. And so, if anybody who's got more than 1 million bloggers and he's from Guam, he deserves an opportunity to tell us what the secret of his success is. Telling us how to live.
Yeah, I think it'd be enjoyable. How much is it to get into that?
It's absolutely free for you and everybody else.
Hey. Hey, how much do you know about his time here? Is he going to be around long enough to participate in a race? He's also a runner, by the way.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see him on a 5K one of these days out there.
I think he's going to be here at least another week. I know he's been here about a week, but you can check out his agent, his mom,
and see what's going on. I think it's a good idea. So now the other thing is, and I bet you know him because I think he was in the swamp about the same time you were in the swamp in Washington, D.C., the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Interior. Is it Domenech? Is that how you say his name?
Domenech, yes. I've met him a couple of times. I can't say I really know him, but is he coming out?
He's here. He's in the neighborhood. I think he was down in where it was Fiji yesterday or Amsam. And he's here now, I know that there's a little bit of something that he wants to do involving Navy Hospital and the veterans, but I'm not supposed to say anything about that. But I was wondering if because he's apparently been around the interior for a long time and knows a lot of the same guys that we know, and is very aware of some of the problems that we've got out here with regard to.
He's it's a relief that he was. Nominated because he does know something about the territories. Now, obviously, politically or ideologically, he may take things a little bit differently, but at least when you're dealing with him, you're dealing with someone who is knowledgeable.
Right.
That's always a relief. Because you can spend time arguing about an issue and you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining the issue.
and it helps in order to get past some of the initial I don't understand the question or I don't understand the problem roadblocks so that you can jump right into, hey, we need to do something about compact reimbursement.
That's right. So
among other things,
he gets it. I'm glad to hear that he's here. Maybe I should look for him and try to get him up here to the university.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay, so if there's anybody talking to you over at the governor's office, I'd start there, because I don't know who's doing the handling on this trip. We were angling for an in studio with him, and then his flight plans changed, and they had to put a halt to that. But I know that he's been walking around and making some connections, and basically following up on some of the money that Interior has already sent out here that we have already spent. So he's kind of looking to that.
Yeah, so, I don't know, it strikes me, some people, like to have lots of handlers, and some people like to have very few handlers. And he strikes me as the kind of guy who likes to have very few handlers.
Okay, well,
we'll check out some sources.
So beyond that,
I was totally unaware of that. This is breaking news for me.
I know something that you didn't. This is a big day.
That's
This is
right,
mark that.
It's amazing.
Michael, mark that down on the calendar that on Tuesday, on my mother's birthday, that Uncle Robert did not know something that I did. Got it. This is a big deal. That's right, Rose.
And I want you to know I remember your mother fondly.
Oh, don't we all? I appreciate that. It's also my sister-in-law Tina's birthday. Lucky enough to have shared birthdays on the same day. There's another. I think it's in the Daily Post today. One other UOG issue here, and it involves a brother educator, Paul Zerzan.
The letter to the editor?
The letter to the editor about the weekly UOG event should not sell beer. First of all, I don't like a party pooper. I don't like a snitch.
Well, they may have been serving beer, but I doubt very seriously that they were selling beer. The way the University of Guam policy works is that we authorize, I'm the only person allowed to do this, by the way. I can authorize alcoholic beverages to be presented at an event, assuming that there's, several controls. We do it for opening receptions, for art displays, or for displays at the library, and a couple of times a semester for the Marine Lab when they discuss research.
Right. So the sole authority rests with you, and you don't necessarily have a problem with the guys over at the Marine Lab presenting alcohol, or it sounds like it's just beer. I mean, it doesn't sound like they've got an open bar thing with DJs and EDM music and all of that.
They're serving beer, and the intended audience obviously is mostly other academics and the students down there who are all kind of graduate students, so they're all of age. And then someone is appointed to be to serve as the person who monitors this and ensures that it's adhered to.
So you know what's going to happen is you're not. It doesn't sound like you're going to take a strong stance, and somebody is going to accuse you of mollycoddling the issue and avoiding the confrontation with the Marine Lab people or something like that. Hey, you know what? It's beer. These are adults. Let them have a drink every once in a while. If it takes the edge off a long week of going out there and killing crown of thorns that are devastating our reefs, you know what? Have a Budweiser. I'll buy. You know what?
Yeah. Well.
Well, and then when we're done with the beer down there, we'll go up to Franny's and have a good time up there.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Good.
But no, seriously, we do take it seriously, and we do have a procedure for it. And the Marine Lab did follow the procedure, and they don't get a carte blanche. There've been ways to say, I want to do this every week for the next 10 weeks. We don't do that. So we have to base it on experience. So obviously, in this particular incident, I'm not sure whether there's a report on it, but I'm sure it'll show up on my desk sometime today.
Yeah, at some point.
If there was some incident that occurred, and we'll investigate it and of course take it very seriously. But it's not. This is not a faculty club. It's not. We're not selling beer. We're not selling alcohol. We authorize its consumption at a limited number of events.
Well, and wait a second. Let's back up here. What would be so wrong if there was a vehicle to be able to purchase a beer on campus and maybe provide a couple of dollars to the faculty and keep the tuition down? We're talking about adults. We're sending adults to school. We're not sending children to school. How about instead of looking at at it like every drop of alcohol equals sin and ruination. How about we teach our young people to drink responsibly and encourage the fraternity of education?
Well, that's going to take a little bit more conversation than this phone call in order to reach that level.
Well, at least let's start the conversation, because I'm tired of teaching treating 18-year-olds like they're in grade school. We got to get these kids to grow up.
Of course, the age of alcohol consumption on Guam is 21. So
No, I'm going to change that.
All right, when you change that, then we can have this conversation.
I'll talk to you pretty soon, Uncle Robert. Kiss to Auntie Narissa. Have a good rest of the day. We're KUSG, Hagutnya, headquarters for Fox News Live. That's coming up in seconds.
Heading to the Senate, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The full Senate will now consider the nomination of CIA Director Mike Pompeo as Secretary of State.
A positive, albeit party line, recommendation from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for CIA Director Mike Pompeo to serve as the next Secretary of State. For days, Pompeo is believed to be short of the votes needed from that committee, but minutes before the committee vote, Republican Rand Paul announced a change of mind after assurances from President Trump about Pompeo.
I hope that they'll let Trump be Trump and that Pompeo will be a constructive influence and not a destructive one.
Even without a positive recommendation from the committee, Pompeo was expected to win final confirmation with support from at least 3 Senate Democrats.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. At least 9 dead, more than a dozen hurt after a van jumps a sidewalk in Toronto, Canada. Police now looking for answers. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, Toronto police are in the middle of an investigation to try to definitively discover if this rental van incident was intentional or the result of a tragic accident. Deputy Police Chief Peter Yoon says they are hoping anyone who saw something will say something.
There were a lot of pedestrians out enjoying, a lot of witnesses enjoying the sunny afternoon, so we're urging anyone that saw anything, please call Crime Stoppers or call Toronto Police Service and let us know.
Residents are being steered clear of the incident scene while police investigate. The driver of the van is in custody, Lisa.
Gernal, the suspect in yesterday's deadly shooting at a Waffle House in Nashville, captured this afternoon. Police say Travis Ranking faces 4 counts of murder.
The description that we had received was a maroon shirt, dark jeans, and a backpack, which is exactly what he had on.
Lieutenant Carlos Lara with the Metro Nashville PD. Former President George H.W. Bush admitted to the Houston Methodist Hospital, his office saying he contracted an infection that spread to his blood, but they say he appears to be responding to treatment. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Tomorrow's the last day to vote in Arizona's special congressional election, and it could be a close race.
Polling's been limited, but one poll shows Democrat Harold Tipernini ahead by a point. The other shows Republican Debbie Lesko winning Arizona's 8th congressional district by 10. So could the Democrat here really win this district that's been so Republican, Democrats haven't even put up a candidate since 2012?
A good part of it is due to the hype that's been created since other special elections that have occurred since 2016 in Alabama and Pennsylvania in particular.
ASU political science professor Richard Herrera says based on how much more heavily Republicans out-registered Democrats in this district, it seems unlikely a Democrat would win, but that they would still claim a sort of victory if it's even remotely close. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Vice President Mike Pence plans to name retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg to serve as his national security advisor. Pence had planned to select John Lerner as advisor. He was an advisor to UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, but Lerner withdrew his name from consideration. The global environmental movement recognizing a woman from Flint, Michigan for extraordinary action against lead pollution and poisoning.
Leanne Walters is among 7 people from around the world to be awarded a Goldman Environmental Prize for grassroots environmental activism. She was repeatedly rebuffed by Michigan Governor Rick Snyder's administration, even as she confronted regulators with bottles of brown water that came from her kitchen tap. But with critical help from a Virginia Tech research team and a local doctor, it was revealed in 2015 that Flint's water system was contaminated with lead due to a lack of treatment. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
It's another son for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Prince William and wife Kate left the hospital this morning. The royal couple have 2 other children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Did you know you can save a little more when you save the water from washing off your produce? Place a strainer or colander over a large pot to catch the water when washing your fruits and veggies. Then recycle that water on your garden or for flushing the toilet.
Catch more cleaning green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by JV International Safety Equipment, located in the Harmon Industrial Park. Call 646-9524.
Portions of the program also brought to you by King's Restaurant. For 40 years, serving favorites to families just like yours. Always open, always local. That's King's.
The Guam Family Justice Center Alliance invites you to the Children's Carnival Ball on Sunday, April 29 at the Dusitani Resort from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring the whole family for a fun-filled time with entertainment, games, and activities. Proceeds to benefit raising awareness and funding for the development of an official Family Justice Center on Guam. Tickets available at limited 76 Circle K stores. Come down to the Dusitani for the Children's Carnival Ball on April 29 for a magical time and a wonderful cause. Special thanks to Oradot Dental Clinic, SPPC Corp., and the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
All right, let's see what the big deal is over at Cold Stone Creamery. Try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. Now, you can have them by themselves, or you can mix them up together if shortcake and lemon pie ice cream cone sounds good, or have one or the other. Mix them with your favorite fruits and nuts and candies, or even try the Golden Oreo cookies. Golden Oreos. You remember watch that movie, James Bond? Remember GoldenEye? That's what they were fighting about. Oreo cookies. Nice. Cold Stone Creamery is in the Guam Premier Outlets and the Micronesia Mall.
Summer's right around the corner, but first shift into spring with Triple J. With 0 down, 1.9% financing, and easy trade-in, now is the time to buy. Get into our big boy truck, the Ford F-150, starting at $217 per paycheck. Car and drivers, 10 best. Mazda CX-9 at $242 per paycheck. The Mazda 3 sedan at only $137 per paycheck. Or the North American Car of the Year, the 2018 Honda Accord at only $216 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J Auto Group, customers first.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. On demand at thepoint.gu.
Groovy. Gotta say good morning to James Yu and Johnny Monster, John Mopness. What we got there? Laura Saflagui-Swalug, Jennifer Bedar, Clint James, Charles Eckert, Siska Tapea, who's among my favorites when it comes to trying to figure out how valuable something might be, how valuable a piece of land might be. That's what she does. She's one of those people. She got to know, and she knows how to look at a piece of property and tell you generally what it might be worth. I think the only time where she didn't actually come out with a direct quote was a conversation she had with a Daily Post writer when they were asking about the spot that I was talking about with Angel Sablon, right next to Kmart, right? And across from John F. Kennedy High School, used to be a place called Vocational Rehab. And I've told you the story before, but assuming that maybe you hadn't heard it, I'll repeat it. When I was growing up, if you had a lawnmower that you couldn't make work anymore, you took it to Vocational Rehab. We didn't have tanks a lot back in those days. Weren't a whole lot of commercial places where you could go. I mean, if you knew how to fix it, or if you had a cousin or something that might know their way around small engines, yeah, you might go in that direction. But for the most part, we took all of our busted equipment to Vocational Rehab. And I remember wheeling the stuff in with my Uncle Joe or my Uncle Jim. And if you can close your eyes and smell a garage, it smelled like oil and gasoline and turpentine and all of that stuff. And there'd be a fella And more often than not, he wasn't just like me. Maybe he walked differently, or he spoke differently, or maybe he couldn't hear well when I was talking to him. And maybe there was something awkward about the way his hands would bend, or whatever. It was just something different, right? More often than not. But when you got the lawnmower back, or the chainsaw back, or the little generator — they had generators back in those days — when you got it back, it worked just as good as it did when you bought it. And maybe there was a little bit more sharp on the blade, so you could cut through the barbed wire that is Guam grass a little bit cleaner. And I'm kind of sorry to see that thing go. And it sat idle for a long, long time. So I'm absolutely delighted that there is a conversation about doing something with that land. And I originally thought, and it's only been recent that I guess they changed it sometime while I was on my 2-year vacation. One of the things that they were talking about doing was handing it over to DISID, so that they could do it. But I guess they changed that, so now GITA is going to be managing that property, and they'll find somebody that will build, I don't know, a Walmart on it, or something big, something that is equal to the quality of that property. And then whatever monies is derived from having whatever that thing is going to be there, then they'll make a check out to the guys over at DISID, which is just awesome. It's a great way to do it. It's a great way to do it, and to fund some of the other activities that are going to be taking place with that. So I'm delighted to see that kind of thing going, and that's why when we start talking about what can be done with that land up in Tiedzin, where the baseball field is, where the football field is, where the tennis court's back there, and Jim apparently that is cranking that I didn't know anything about. You know, here I am, you know, checking out the place where the Korean flight attendants and the Japanese flight attendants down at the premier, what do you call it, Paradise Fitness down in Tumon. All right, I'll go there. But, you know, frankly, Tiedzin a little bit closer to home. So maybe I'm going to swing by there and find out if they got a 3-day membership plan. But it would be interesting to see at the end of the day what we might be able to do with that property, so that you got somebody that is interested in developing the property and then turning it into something where we might be able to get some money, stick it in a trust, give it to Parks and Rec, because they constantly need the money. We'll give some to the mayors over in Barrigada as well. And we'd set aside some place for the mayors to have their farmers market or their Tuesday night whatever. It's doable. What do you think, Ken?
Hey, Ramon, this is Ken from back in the old days.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Just talking, just shooting the bull on what I think we might be able to do with that property.
Well, I'm resurrecting an old nemesis of yours.
What?
We should. I'm resurrecting an old nemesis of yours.
Mm-hmm.
No pet peeve. And okay, I'm down for what you're talking about and everything, under one condition.
Go ahead.
They do something about that atrocious fence along the highway there.
Right.
I know you're always griping about that.
I'm gritting my teeth as you're talking about it. Every single day, it's you know what? The only reason why they're leaving it up there is because they're trying to make a point that they don't have to do anything just because I say it on the radio. That's the only reason why it's still up there.
No, it's out of spite, just to spite.
Yes, it is. It's all about. Ken. It's always been about me. That's right. Everything is about me.
You have a nice day, Ramon.
Where are you going? Where are you going? No, you can't lead me down this path here and just make me go into a rant I've been doing for 10 years. Look, I'm willing to examine all of the possibilities, up to and including, and I'll give this to the source that deserves it, and it is former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez, who I believe is correct in this regard. There is a way that we can take care of and alleviate, number one, a lot of pressure for pedestrians in that intersection.
That's correct. And
I
think that was the main reason, the impetus to put that fence up. But yeah. It's atrocious. I mean,
it's ugly. It's ugly. There's parts of it that there's nothing pretty about it. There is nothing warm. There is nothing half a day about this. It looks like the prison is there, And there's absolutely no reason after all of these years that we could not come up with some kind of plan, some kind of alternative design. And you know who'll pay for it? That's would take that money out of the tourist attraction fund and build something nice up there that accomplishes the purpose of keeping John F. Kennedy high schools to using the intersections instead of running pell-mell at the end of the school day. And I've seen it. There's 3 or 4 of them, and they're cutting through traffic and all of this stuff because there are no adult supervision that has the temerity to make them stop, and there's no policeman there to make them stop.
That's right. Well, you know, one thing comes to mind is you've been to the Philippines and all this. They got these pedestrian overhead walks that they can, you know.
From Green Hills to Landmark Center.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, if you in Iloilo, I believe it is, they got, you know, they through that big Mega Mall SM, you know, and they built a hotel across from it. And, of course, you have to cross a busy avenue, so they put an overhead walkway from the hotel to the mall. And, boy, I mean, it did well, I guess whoever owns a hotel, I mean, paid for it, but because it boomed their market. I mean, you know, people come around, they want to go to a mall, bingo, right? It's safe, you can walk across the street, you know, and you know, so
good for the hotel, good for the mall. So here's what we've got. We've got the approach coming up from John F. Kennedy High School, and you can put it on either side of the street. Both if you want to, or just make one that's kind of catty corner. I've been to Vegas a couple of times. You know, all of the big routes there, they don't want their customers walking on the streets of the Strip. We want you going up, and some of them have escalators, and some of them are just stairs. So you go up, I don't know, 20, 25 feet, and then you cross this bridge, and then bang, you're down in Caesar's Palace. And it's as simple as that. It's not some incredible design. It's not something that we have to design so that it is typhoon proof, because we're going to make it out of concrete. And it's something that we can actually deliver a couple of deliverables on for the people. So we can put there's signage that we can put up there. Half a day, welcome to Guam. We can sell it to Lodi. We can sell it to DFS so that they've got their signage that says, this is it, man. This is the gateway to the pearl of the Western Pacific that is Tumon Bay.
That's right. And, you know, as far as the fence, I don't know. I guess whoever designed it, putting it right in the middle of that highway, why didn't they put it on the, you know, since it's for the
on the school side? Why didn't they put Why didn't they put a fence? You know, and it doesn't have to be a huge fence. It's just the same size as the one over at in Dededo. When we had problems with kids crossing the street in Dededo from the Payless side to the skate park side, we did not put a fence down Marine Drive.
That's right. It must have been Monday when somebody designed that.
Oh, it's just you know, what's the thing? We'll just do it. We'll do it the dumbest way possible, so it's easy for you instead of doing it right. And it's been, I want to say that goes back to Larry Perez days, right? When Larry was running.
I don't know, but I just thought I'll call you out since you're talking about that neighborhood and
blood pressure's up.
Get your blood pressure up and everything. You kind of mellowed down talking to my good friend Dr. Bob. I just wanted.
Yeah, but I wanted to go back on that conversation because he was touching. He touched on something that kind of annoyed me. I think a university is a place where we send young people to learn how to be adults, and I think the smartest thing. And you know, I was raised, Ken, and I'm sure that you were raised around the same time, where you know my parents cared enough for me, loved me enough to help me experiment with the things that you know are supposed to be taboo. So I remember my dad one day when we were working real hard out in the yard, I don't know, 16 or something like that, and it was a hot day, and he went in the house and he came out with 2 cans of Olympia, And he opened one and drank it, and opened the other one and drank half of it, and then gave me some. Right? He gave me the rest of it, and then he put water in it. Pop, it's Oli. You don't need to add water to this anymore. It's already kind of thin to begin with. But for us, that was kind of the rite of passage. And from that point, I got to a point where he trusts me with my alcohol, trusts me to be able to drink it responsibly around him and other adults. And so that's how I learned how to do it, and hopefully have not had as many problems with missteps in alcohol in my life. And thank God I don't. If I did, I don't remember them. How's that? Thank God. But when you create that taboo, in young people, then all of a sudden they're going to binge on it. They weren't given access to it. We didn't teach them how to control it, and so when they get it, they're going to have too much of it, and they're going to abuse it.
Yep, exactly. To the point.
Yes.
Except, by the way, how's your dad doing?
I want you to pray for him when you can, and that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, he's a real good friend of mine. He and I used to lock horns back in our younger days, and I'm sure he remembers me. We're always on opposite adversarial ends.
Well, you were on different positions, but you were going for the same thing. How do we protect the employees?
Exactly.
How do we take care of the employees?
That's right. And we have some kind of heated discussions, but after that, what the heck? Let's go and have lunch.
Good man, Ken. I appreciate you asking after him, and as I say, keep him in your prayers.
Well, I will. I remember him every once in a while. I think of him.
You should remember him every time you hear me. I've got his voice.
Yep. Hey, when you first came on to KUAM, I was the guy that called you up and said, "Hey, are you still on the radio?" And he said, you said, no, that's my dad.
Yeah, I got lucky. I got his looks and his voice.
I don't know about the looks.
All right, I gotta let you. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with the phone now, Ken. I can't hear you. It's not coming in very clear. I'll see him.
Yeah, well, you have a nice day, buddy.
I promise you, I will. I promise. 20 after 9 o'clock in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show on the Point, and happy to be here with you and just chew the fat on a bunch of stuff that's out there. Paul Zerzan, in a letter to the editor in the Daily Post, writes about what he thinks is devil alcohol being served on the campus of the supposedly dry campus of the University of Guam. And I don't agree with everything, Paul. There are times that we get together and I'll read an editorial that he writes. He used to call me all the time. And there are times where I agree with him on things, and there are times where I don't know about this. It's not illegal. They're not shooting heroin down there. They're not brewing methamphetamine.
Yeah,
we're getting together, talking about the reef, talking about the ocean, talking about school, talking about life, and sometimes those conversations are lubricated, if you will, when you got a couple of rounds in you, get a couple of belts in you.
But they're not kicking it around the water pipe.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it. So I don't know. Maybe nothing there. But it does bring to mind the question about how to deal with those things. I mean, there's so much nanny state floating around here, and there's part of it that I really, really like. And as somebody that is up early in the morning, driving up early in the morning, acting as a pedestrian and being on the sidewalks, I'm kind of less annoyed knowing that there's a very good chance that most of the people on the road are on the road because they're up early, not because they've been out binging all night long. So there's that little bit that I've got. It's true, baby. It's true. There've been a couple of times running, and you go, that car looks like it's coming straight. Whoa, caught me at the last minute.
It's no lie, man. I was coming into work one morning. I get here at 5, and so I come out there at Governor Camacho Boulevard on the Marine Corps Drive, and one guy had just beat the light.
Lucky.
More or less. In front of me. So I got behind him, and we got caught at the next light, which is Chela and San Antonio. So I'm behind him. We get going at the green light. Man, I don't even think the dude knew he was on planet Earth anymore. He was over into one lane and then way over close to the curb and then back over, and I was just like, man, Wouldn't it be nice for a policeman to drive by here about now? Because there was no question this dude had no business being on the road.
Yeah, yeah. So, and in those cases, sometimes you don't know what to do, and you do. I normally just hang back.
That's what I did.
I'll do. I'll throttle back to about half speed and let this guy keep going, and until he's off the road. Or there are some other times where I think, you know what, he's given me just enough room here. I'm going to pass this guy and make it like he's going in reverse so that I can get in front of him and away from this train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah, I was actually
and every once in a while you get those guys, and then you drive around that same place later on looking to see if there's any new holes in the guardrails,
right? Yeah.
To see if this guy made
car
it.
parts laying around. Yeah, lucky for me, I was going to stop there at the Circle K, so I just I stayed back. My thought really at that point was, wow, I may need to stop and help this person at some point before I get to the next stoplight.
Yeah,
because it was bad.
And then there's a strange thing that I saw yesterday. Did everybody see this? There were a couple of WhatsApp chats that it was up. I was headed through Agana yesterday, East Agana, and there was a guy. I'm sure you saw him if you were on the road at the same time, and if you were, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He was pushing a suitcase, looked like a local guy, pushing a suitcase, and he had a stick over his shoulder, and on the end of the stick looked like a dead cat.
Wow.
And I think it was a dead animal of some kind.
Wow.
And I don't know what happened to this. And I shook my head a couple of times. One of those you pinch yourself things. What did I just see? Did I just see a guy
and you can't
pushing him, and you can't unsee it? And I looked in my rearview mirror, and I see this dead thing dangling at the end of the stick. And I thought, I sure do hope a responsible authority gets to this guy, and because maybe he should not be walking around unsupervised.
Possible.
Yeah, you should put him back at the legislature where he belongs, whichever one of those senators he was. 9:25 in the morning. The big topic that we chewed on heavily in the first parts of the morning show it has to do with an email that went out yesterday from the Guam Medical Association, GMA. See, this is how institutionalized I am. I see an A at the end of something. I assume it's administration or authority. The Guam Medical Association, not the Guam Medical Authority. But they've gotten together and have expressed their concerns about what is not happening in terms of dollars and cents at the Guam Memorial Hospital. And here's without getting too much into heavy detail, because I know you hate that crap, GMH has had chronic money problems. I mean, since the beginning of the GMH, since the day we took it from the nuns, they've always had that problem. And so, we continue to deal with the occasional, certainly annual, calls for pity and financing from the taxpayers of the government of Guam. And it is hard to argue that they don't need it. And even if you had the best and brightest management running the place right now, it's hard to make up for 30, almost 40 years worth of bad management, bad policies, bad practice. And it's going to be hard to turn that ship around. They've brought in some really good people to do it. And they've taken some of the best and brightest from this community and put them in positions where they might be able to make a difference at GMH. But it's tough. There's a lot working against them. And so the theory is maybe if we start giving them more money. And that was a part of a discussion that was taking place, I don't know, about 4 months ago here. And then that we dropped that conversation because there was a fiscal crisis that, Lord help us, would affect the entire government of Guam. And so not a whole lot of attention has been paid at the Guam Memorial Hospital. Well, bookending the conversation on the fiscal crisis of the government of Guam was a conversation about the Joint Commission and issues that the Joint Commission had found, and the idea that accreditation at Guam Memorial Hospital could be at risk. And they fought really hard for that, spent a lot of money on that. They, when it comes down to how many nurses do you have? Well, I think Joint Commission has a number that they like to see when it comes to that. And so they brought out all of these expensive locus tenens, temporary nurses, and there's still a bunch of temporary nurses there right now. I mean, there's people there, nurses doing $75 an hour. I'm not gonna decry it. If I had the brains to be able to put in the time and the trouble and the expense of going to nurse school, yeah, I'd like about $75 an hour for that.
Yeah, well, Plus, for me, there's that whole actually caring about other people thing.
No, they got it. Hey, listen, you talk to anybody who goes through GMH, they'll tell you the service there is, and the quality of the human care is very, very good. I'll tell you, it's the same thing at GRMC. I've seen it there. You know, it's the spirit of Hoffaday times 10 in the hospital. Because on top of that, you've also you've got people that will physically personally get involved with you, and this is Guam. Everybody knows everybody, and they're going to hear you talk. You ever get in trouble and find yourself at GMH? All you have to do is open your mouth, and they'll go, "Oh, you're the guy on the radio with Ray. I hear you all the time. What's the matter with you?" And before you know it, you'll be cured. You might be engaged, and some come over to the house and help us barbecue. Here's my family. That's the way it is here. It's always been like that. But so bookending the financial crisis of the government of Guam is the idea that there is this joint commission and the possibility that we might lose accreditation. I say, so what? Accreditation costs us a lot of money. Let's save that, put it in the hospital, put it into something else. Light bill, fix the elevators, pharmacies, whatever. So you got that, and then you got the other side where at the other end of the bookend of the fiscal crisis, and everybody kind of knew it was coming. I don't think anybody is absolutely surprised by the idea that the CMS is out here, but they're here. And if we did not take care of some of the obvious and well-documented findings of the Joint Commission, where they intersect between the two of them, could be a problem for GMH. If we lose the accreditation with the Joint Commission, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But if we lose the ability to get reimbursed for Medicare and Medicaid, there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of sleepless nights for GMH. That is the nail in the coffin, I think, as has been described by many people. So the guys over at GMA, the Guam Medical Association, are going to get together at the legislature for their meeting tomorrow, and I think try to convince 15 people, or the 8 that are remaining to stay for the 35th Guam legislature, that they need to do something. And I'll tell you what it is that they need after I talk with Harold. Good morning, Harold.
Oh, hello, dude. How you doing?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, so far so good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I've got a comment about the hospitals. I've been in both of them. GRMC under the Veterans Choice Program.
Mm-hmm.
I went in by ambulance, and my wife went in by ambulance to GMH. And really, the only thing different is GMR's, the new place. It's newer. And but everything and clean, but everything else is the same. You get the same kind of service, everything.
I'm glad to hear that, because I think when it comes down to the people, and for me, that's going to end up to be about 50% of the therapy that I need. I think if I ever got sick, I just want somebody to treat me like a human being while I'm waiting for the procedure.
Yeah, I've been to all 3 of the places, counting the Navy Hospital, and they're all the same for people-wise.
Well, what the hell's the matter with you? Why do you keep going to the hospital, Harold? What's wrong with you?
I was in Vietnam.
There you go. There you go.
And the Agent Orange catches up to you after a number of years.
I'm sorry to hear that, and I do hope that we're trying to figure out a way to get more attention on this. And the admission that you didn't have to be in Vietnam to get exposed to Agent Orange. There's a bunch of people here on Guam that believe that they're suffering maladies that are brought on by it because it was sprayed. They sprayed it, or it was sprayed in proximity to somewhere where they got close to.
Yeah, after I bought my house a couple of years later, somebody moved in next door to me, and he was a retired Air Force student. And he was out spraying his yard one time in the jungle behind his house. And I thought, God, this stuff smells weird, It smells like something I smelled before. And I asked him what it was. He said, "No, it's Agent Orange. I just stole from the base."
Oh, you're kidding.
Clear out the jungle and the weeds.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. That's a scary story.
All over the place before.
That's a scary story, Harold.
Well, it happened. It's probably all over the place.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you've got these now chronic issues, and like I said, I hope that whatever needs to happen administratively it happens, and so that you've got access to all the care that you need. It sounds like you're getting it, and as you say, GRMC is newer, but when it comes to the service, when it comes to the human touch, they're all right, and everybody takes care of everybody, right?
Yeah, I have no trouble with the VA clinic. It's improved 1,000% in the last few years. And if I call and I need something, they either tell me to go downtown somewhere or come into the clinic.
Well, that wasn't always the case. You weren't able to do that until they came out with that choice program, right?
Before that, it was you had to wait a little longer. But even now with the choice program, you still wait a while.
Is it?
Because they don't send everybody out on the choice program. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get the referral.
Why would that?
By the time you get the referral, whatever you had is gone. So
Yeah, or it's gotten worse. Why would that be? Why would it take so long? I mean, when I needed to get referred for a procedure at where was it, Medical City in the Philippines, doctor wrote it out in front of me.
Well, but you're not dealing with the government, the Veterans Administration. That's right. Everything here, they have to send to Honolulu.
Oh, still.
And we refer this guy to downtown. Yeah. I got a call one time. They wanted me to take a colonoscopy. So they called me from Honolulu, and they're going to send me to Honolulu for a colonoscopy. I said, why? I'm not going to Honolulu for it.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have a gastrointestinal, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
specialist on Guam. I said, you don't need a specialist. I know 10 doctors downtown that can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, be happy to do it. Yeah, the only problem with having a colonoscopy here is you'll see the guy again. I'm sorry, I have that procedure done when I'm in the Philippines because I don't even want to risk meeting him in a subway, right? Walking around a Kmart. There's a guy who knows parts of me nobody is supposed to know about.
I had no problem with it. The Dr. Hughes down in Tumon, across the street from the Hilton Hotel, that medical clinic there.
Yeah, I know him.
I was in and out. That's a her.
Or her. No, I'm thinking of somebody else then. I think I thought you were talking about the guy that does the services for the Japanese tourists. Okay.
Oh no, there's many doctors in that place, but I had no problem with it. I was in, got prepped, got it done, got out, and that's it.
Well, I mean, and if you did want to travel, why do 8 hours, go all the way to Hawaii and do the thing over at Tripler and then come home for 8 hours? You can be in Manila in 3 hours and in another 3 hours, depending on how bad the traffic is on the Skyway. You could be in the city where GRMC or St. Luke's is.
Yeah,
Global.
but when you go to Manila, you're asking them to spend American federal dollars in a foreign country, and the federal dollars come from the federal taxpayers to be spent in America.
I guess. I don't know. I think about guys like you and others in this part of the world, and I get what you're saying on that point. But if we're talking about spending federal taxpayer dollars, let's spend less of it and get a higher caliber of service. They've got great doctors in the Philippines, and people that I've put my life's hands into. And so if somebody is going to pay for it, then let's go ahead and get it good service and cheaper service so we can take care of more guys.
But the government you're talking about, it don't work that way.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. How is it possible? I've been doing talk radio all these years, and I'm still as naive as I am. See, it's still wet back there. What is that?
Well, sometimes it don't matter what you do. You can't fix dumb,
I hear that. Like I said, we'll do it the easiest. We'll do it the dumbest way possible because it's easiest for you. I know you're not talking about me, Harold.
I didn't mean that the way it came out.
That's all right. No, I know exactly what you mean, and I appreciate you being out there, and I appreciate the genesis of the call, which is to say that you can go to Guam Regional Medical City. It'll cost you more, but it's newer and shinier, or you can go to Guam Memorial Hospital, which might have lost the shine a few years ago, might not have the absolute latest equipment, but when it comes to the people in scrubs, we've got some good ones around here.
That's right. The ER, you can't beat the people in the ER. They're great.
I'm sure they appreciate hearing from you, Harold, and I know they'll take good care of you the next time you're in. I'll see you.
I'm afraid of it.
No. Just you take care of yourself, all right?
I'm doing that. I'll see you. Talk to you later sometime.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Looking forward to it.
Okay, right.
22 away from 10 o'clock in the morning. And there you go, a great example of what it is. That's the thing that I miss the most. Can I just say that when I wasn't on the air, I didn't miss waking up every morning and having to have an opinion on every little thing that there was in the news.
Right.
I didn't miss that part. I never did stop waking up early. I mean, you still wake up. Whether you get out of bed is a different thing. But I'd still wake up early and still do the things, and I still was emceeing events and things like that. But you know, it's that connection that we all have with each other, and the idea that you can talk to me like you talk to a member of the family. I can do the same thing with you. And exactly that kind of conversation that's what I missed while I was off the air. But I'm back, and I'm here. And the phones are open, 888, just got to memorize a new number, 888-8255. That's 888-TALK, and we will TALK more in just a second. iConnect time is 9:38. iConnect, where they will help you connect longer for less with their incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
Hey, it's your stomach talking. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Subway has all new signature wraps packed with meat and flavor. And I know flavor. Okay, maybe not as much as the mouth. That's kind of his job. But we talked, and he's a big fan of the Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese signature wrap. And it's super filling, so you don't have to hear from me for a few hours. Unless they play this radio spot again. Subway, make it what you want.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Well, 20 away from 10 o'clock in the morning, and you know what? You can reach out and indict different parts of the system. Right? You can be GMA and say, you know, we're not getting any funding for Guam's only public hospital, yada, yada, yada. And so here's where we think they might have some money that we might be able to attach to help resolve the issues at Guam Memorial Hospital. They won't. And it's $10 million from GITA and $30 million from the Tourist Attraction Fund. And I will disagree vehemently with the idea of taking any money from either one of the organizations. We need to have money to fund economic development around here. You need to be able to have guys that know a thing or two about putting together, as I said earlier, an athletic park, a sports park out in Tiedzin. And make it attractive to people that have got the financial wherewithal to take care of putting in the infrastructure or correcting the infrastructure that's already there, modernizing and turning it into something. And you know, my curse is that I've had the opportunity to see things in different places. When I was in Okinawa, wasn't that long ago, me and my buddy went for a run through the city, and came to this area. It's right downtown, and came to this area, and it was massive, and it was all kinds of sports. I mean, if there was a sport there was a court or a field for it. They had soccer, they had rugby, they had football, American-style football. They had soccer, and they had not just tennis courts. They had clay tennis courts.
Wow.
That's fun to play on, babe.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and this you get out there and it's a whole different game when you're playing on the clay. They tell me, I've never done it, but Mason has, and he tells me it's a groovy way to get the game done, right? So that you got that. There's tracks that you can run around, and the place is lit, and it cranks 24 hours a day. And when you want a soda, there's a place that will get you a soda. If you want coffee, if you want to get some Aquarius or some Pocari Sweat, which is an unfortunate name for a drink, if you ask me, but it's tasty as hell. I mean, I really like it. But when you're taking that first swig of it, you can't get past the idea that it's called sweat. Try to get over it real fast. And so you're going, well, you know, we might be able to come up with something like that. And the answer is no, the government of Guam cannot come up with something like that. The government of Guam is going to think small. It is going to think in that kind of municipal, let's turn it into a Wednesday night market, or let's make it a farmer's market or something like that. There's more that can be done with that piece of property, and if we can make it a public-private partnership kind of thing, then I think there's a ways to go on that. And I'll give you another reason why it's a good idea. The more access that we have to those places, you know, one of the reasons why Tiedzin was such a big get for a long time was, and it didn't require people saying that it was a good place to walk and jog. People got it already. Yeah. And when they were, you know, you're starting an exercise program and you're dieting, it's the first of the year, you got a wedding coming up and you need to drop a few pounds to get into the dress or the suit, and you go walking around Tiedzin. And there's ways that you can cut through Tiedzin. There are ways to do it so that you can get a lot of hills in it, or a lot of flat space in it, or whatever. It's very, you know, it was designed very well for that kind of thing. It's got this long straight over on the back where the planes land, and it's breezy most of the time, and at certain times of the year it doesn't smell like pee. And it's not because there's pee, it's just that there's an aroma from the grass that causes that. But my point is that people found it and already were using it for athletic and health purposes. What more if we can add to that kind of thing? And if somebody else can pay for it. And that's what guys like Gita are good at. So don't think they're $10 million. And as far as $30 million from the Tourist Attraction Fund is concerned, no. They need all of the money that they can get. We've got a big job to do to get as many new Japanese butts in chairs and flying out to Guam and taking care of the Koreans and expanding, diversifying to other places. I want to see some more Russians coming in. And I you know, all this talk about the collusion between Trump and Russia that didn't exist. Frankly, there's a part of me that wished it existed so that we could lift some of the sanctions against Russia for the invasion in the Crimea and get them their oil dollars back, because when their oil dollars were flowing around Russia, there was oil dollars floating around Guam. They'd come. I don't know if they'd ever told you about Russian tourism when we had it here.
I've seen that it was a big thing before. It's kind of waned in years.
Yeah, well, because you know, it's Obama and Putin didn't get along. But when there was that lack of conflict, and these guys could come in, and it was fairly easy for them to go from Vladivostok, which is not, as the crow fly, that far away. It's
it's probably about a 4.5 hour flight. I
exactly,
think.
if you wanted to come direct. And we did. I want to say we had direct service. But you come in from Vladivostok, you go to Seoul, and Seoul to Guam, 3 hours, right? Yeah. And then they stay here. And these guys, I mean, that was there was a lot of conversation about the development of an Airbnb type scenario back then, because there were people that had family-sized lodgings that they wanted to rent to the families of Russians that were coming here and staying here for weeks at a time.
Wow.
And the spend was incredible. You watch these people come into restaurants, and they didn't want to eat trail mix. They came for steak and lobster, and whatever was first class, that's what they wanted. Yeah. And price was no object. And I'm dressing it up like it was a fairy tale. Man, it was. That was some good times.
For real, yeah.
Yeah.
It really happened, I swear.
Yeah, so now we got the spendthriftiest tourists in the whole wide world. We got to do some marketing down to where some new riches are being minted in some of the other island countries and island nations that we've got around here. So let's keep that money where it belongs. And then they're going to ask me the question, well, then, smart guy, where are you going to find $40 million? Well, I thought we were supposed to be cutting expenses in the government of Guam. I thought we were going to be saving more money so that whatever monies that were coming in whatever the 2019 budget is going to look like, we could then use that money to help support Guam Memorial Hospital. And they'll say, well, they want a permanent subsidy. No, nobody gets a permanent subsidy. Sorry. We'll try with $40 million to straighten out 40 years worth of mismanagement and poor practices, and the idea that it was a government employment dumping ground for so long, and there's nobody that even denies that anymore. So we'll fix that with the $40 million that we got left, and then you are on your own. So
yeah.
Don't mess with it too much, guys.
Yeah, I'd say you take the $40 million, fix the place up, fix the problems, and then shake that thing off onto a private firm. Let somebody in the private sector take that over. Then you don't have to worry about that headache anymore.
Well, there might be something that we can do with that does not involve full-blown privatization.
I think privatization would be the best answer, though.
In many cases, it is.
Because they're going to manage their books better. See, and so.
But there are ways that we can do this so that we are not married to the same people into perpetuity, right? So there are ways, in the same way that we've got public-private agreements with power generation in the government of Guam.
Right.
So we're going to let you in, and 10 years you get to operate our hospital, and in 10 years we renegotiate the deal. And if government of Guam is still happy with it, the people are still getting taken care of without too much of a burden on our indigent community, et cetera, we'll extend it.
Right.
We'll extend it. And if the company is making some money, if they're making enough dough to be comfortable and meet their mission requirements, no problem. Then they'll want to stick around as well. Right. So maybe not privatize the whole thing. And there's something to be said about the value of everything that is underneath all of that land down the road and adjacent areas. Anyway, 9:49, just shooting the breeze here in the program. If there's something you want to bring up, you're more than welcome to do it. I was going to go over, and I don't think I will because it's lengthy. And it's kind of embarrassing, some of the problems that the Joint Commission found over at Guam Memorial Hospital. We've been through some of this already. Respiratory staff not carrying emergency phones. So how do they respond to emergencies? That's what JACO wanted to know. Physicians not participating in mandatory education. Well, I guess it's not mandatory then if the physicians can beg off of it. Staff not using communications devices that were provided by Motorola. Good company, right? Mm-hmm. To respond to emergencies, they're using their personal cell phones instead. So instead of using the sealed lockbox system, the hardwired Motorola system to communicate with their walkie-talkie communication, whatever, they're using cell phones. They're using WhatsApps or FaceTime or whatever to communicate with each other.
Is that system actually operational?
The Motorola phone system?
Yeah, I mean.
If they're paying for it, I know the people at Motorola. They're good.
But you know how things work, man. Maybe it broke down, and somebody forgot to tell them that it's broken.
No, if it's I know the people. I could make a phone call at 10 o'clock and find out if it is a system for which they are paying for, then it works. It might be inconvenient to carry around both a cell phone and whatever this Motorola device is. But if that's your job, that's your job.
Yeah,
you have to do that.
I just came from the Philippines, where everybody has 3 phones.
Yep.
It's just the way they do it. One phone for each network.
Yeah, sure. Well, because in the Philippines is a completely different animal when it comes to telecom, as I'm sure anybody that goes between here and there does. Okay, so last couple of topics before I close the show. I know you want me to take a break, but let me milk these before I'm all done. I want to say kudos. They don't say, I didn't open up the magistrate report to see it yet.
The pictures?
The police officers, they're pictures of me. I probably should open it up. Hey, Dennis Borjas listening. So is Teddy Lewis and Kenley Guerrero and Melina. Nice to see you guys there. Glad you're here. Where was I? I was going to talk about it's, I kudos whenever I see it happen. Police work is all about observation. Mm-hmm. Good police work is all about observations, being able to scan the scene, look for things that are out of place, and a cop or two are scanning the scene and see a license plate that looks like it was tampered with. And sure enough, they pull this thing over, and somebody had used a Sharpie to make the number 1 look like a number 9 to cover up their tracks, as it were. And so these police officers conduct the follow-up investigation. Driver's license, registration, and we've already got a crime. We've already got probable cause that there might be something else. What is it that you are trying to hide by changing your driver's license plate number or your license plate number? And they effected an investigation that netted them drug paraphernalia. I think they found actual drugs in the car. 10-year-old boy, poor kid. Oy, poor kid. The crap that some of these people put their children, their families through. For
you would think there would be a grandma and uncle, somebody, if you're going to go out and commit crimes, Don't take a kid with you.
Oh, it's almost a cliche anymore in some cases, and it doesn't. The story doesn't say what happened to the kid. I hope that Child Protective Services took up the child. Unfortunately, that means that the child is now going to end up being a ward somewhere of a foster family, and there aren't enough of those to get around. Anyway, so the good news is, if your car got broken into in a bunch of places, it is likely that the police were able to find the people, the culprits that did this, and maybe even some of the goods that the loot that they took. So you might actually get some of that back if you want it. If you want it. I don't know that I would want it. If somebody lifted my Apple computer out of the car and I got it back, as far as I'm concerned, it's got thief taint on it. It's got somebody stole it. I mean, I don't know what they did. I don't know if they touched the thing, and I don't.
Ooh.
You know what? I'll just buy another one. I'll just call the insurance company and tell them it was totaled or something, and see if I can get my hands on another computer, because you already touched it. It's not mine anymore.
It's icky.
It is. It's got your cooties. It's got your thief germs on it, and I don't want that anymore. There was a high-end purse or a wallet, I think, was mentioned in the magistrate story, and it's the same thing. I don't want it. Give me my cards back. Give me whatever money was in there. You can keep the wallet. It's yours now, thief. Get out of my life. Get out of my face. So kudos to the police officers. Thank you very much for not letting this random transgression go. You saw something. You investigated, and a couple are behind bars right now, and hopefully the community will find justice. But given the slap on the wrist mentality that seems to be in favor these days over at diversion is what they call it. It's going to diversion. We're going to divert them away from the prison and away from punishment. We're going to put them back in. And even if they, even if they do go to prison, and this is the second story that I wanted to yak about before I'm done, is even if they go to prison, we've apparently got this open door, right? This guy that they were talking about, that they found the contraband, he was able to get out of prison because he needed to help his wife with something. So they put him on, and why, I don't know. They put him on some kind of unsupervised release between 8 and 5 one day. Excuse me, what's the point of prison? You're not allowed to go out and help your wife. What did she need to do that you had to be there for it? That she could not go to somebody with the explanation, I'm sorry, my husband can't be here because he's in jail. And so unless it's something that he absolutely had to be out for, and I cannot think of anything off the top of my head. When you do a crime, when you sell drugs, when you're involved in crime, you lose the ability, you lose your freedom. And sometimes freedom means being able to help your wife. Freedom means, going to your kid's recital. Freedom means not being able to attend a funeral or a christening or a birthday. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. So how this guy got out, I don't know. Fortunately, somebody was able to check him on the way back in and found all kinds of paraphernalia in the slippers. And I guess they've given him some extra time on that, or they're going to be talking about doing some extra time. But I'm going, what are we missing here in the criminal justice system, where it's lucky if they get to jail, and if they get to jail, they can go whenever they want to. When did that become kind of normal around here, and how do we go back? So ponder that while the commercials are playing in your ears, and I'll come up with some clever way to end the program after these.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
I was wearing my Circle K shirt last night. Yeah, and it turned a lot of heads. And I'm going, that's cool. It's a nice shirt. It's got the little logo on it, better for you. And a reminder to me that I need to make a pit stop today over at the 76 Circle K and pick up on some of those healthy supplies. Chief, and number one item to pick up is the 12 of Heineken Light. You know, they're not sponsors. I probably shouldn't talk about them, but I do because in my mind, it is the healthier choice.
It's good.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got
the Reese's is what really completes it all.
Low carbs, low calories, and low alcohol. And I always get this look from people that says it has low alcohol. So basically, you're drinking a hard soda water. Hey. It ain't that bad. It's actually pretty tasty if you get it. And you know, you go out for a run, you're working out in the yard or something like that. You pop one of these things back, and they're absolutely terrific. So I can go buy that. And so because I'm getting the low carbs, low calories, low alcohol, and less of those sugars, complex sugar that goes into my system, then I can have the Reese's.
Okay. See, I knew there was a secret.
And kettle style potato chips. And lately I've been having the regular, but I think today might be a day where I go after the jalapeno-flavored kettle-style potato chips. There's something about that thick crunch that reminds me of the way my grandmother used to cook fried potatoes when I was just a little boy. Well, there's the music playing in the background, and that is generally the signal for me to shut up. But I got a couple of things I got to take care of between here and there. Brian Kilmeade coming up next. He's going to be on the radio for a couple hours. The amazing, the incredible Rush Limbaugh is back in Guam radio, ladies and gentlemen. You can hear him this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Sean Hannity later in the afternoon. We got Tom Shalhoub and Free Talk Live and Coast to Coast on the overnights and plenty more. So I hope you get a chance to spend the rest of your day with 93.3 as well. The radio station is KUSG. We are The Point for Kevin Kerrigan and Michael Knight and Jerry Roberts and Blake Watson. My name is Ray Gibson. Thanks for listening. Catch you tomorrow morning. Bright and or early and rarely both. Here it comes the news. 12 seconds.
A truck plows into a crowd in Toronto. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
Well, 9 p.m.